Footsteps echo through a room littered with the aftermath of a fierce battle. He catches his breath, the strain of the fight etched on his exhausted face. His memory is a blank. He cannot recall the events leading to his own demise. A flashback reveals a moment of sheer terror as a dark entity ensnares him. He desperately flees through a hall of chaos as monstrous tendrils erupt from the ground. Spotting a weapon on the floor, he makes a decisive move to seize it. With the firearm secured, he swiftly turns to confront the encroaching horror. He grits his teeth and unleashes a determined shot at his monstrous foe. Though the details are lost, two figures remain clear in his mind: a monster and an angel. His bullets find their mark, repeatedly striking the creature's dark appendages. His mind flashes back to the start of it all, what should have been a normal day at work. But his ordinary routine was shattered when a dark tendril violently pierced through his chest. He recalls the crushing mundanity he felt just moments before the chaos erupted. The brutal impact sends a shockwave of pain through his entire body. His hand trembles as he instinctively clutches the source of his mortal wound. As his life fades, a timely command signals a sudden, powerful intervention. The angelic figure from his memories arrives, her golden armor gleaming as she swings her blade. She moves like a whirlwind, slicing through the dark appendages with righteous fury. In a single sweeping motion, she severs the entire mass of tendrils from its source. The warrior turns to face him, but the fatal blow has already been dealt. His hand trembles, desperately clutching the grievous injury on his chest. He slumps against the lockers, the life draining from him through the fatal wound. With ragged breaths, he accepts the cold, hard truth that his end has arrived. The angelic warrior turns her back, her duty seemingly complete amidst the wreckage. She takes a solemn step away, leaving him to face his final moments alone. But she hesitates, returning to kneel by his side in a moment of unexpected compassion. He reflects on this mysterious figure who crashed into his world and changed everything. A golden light glows from her hand as she informs him his sacrifice has saved the others. Her expression fills with regret as she confesses her power is not enough to save him. He offers a weak but content smile, finding peace in his final act of heroism. The warrior takes his hand, a final grounding touch. He looks up at her, his final wish to know the name of his mysterious savior. The angelic warrior introduces herself as Raylina, a Valkyrie of the Dawn. She calls him by his name, Noah, offering a solemn apology and her thanks. She tells him his sacrifice was the key to saving the world. His journey concludes in that moment, becoming a nameless hero to the world he saved. But his end triggers a reaction elsewhere as a crimson sphere begins to shatter. His consciousness awakens in a new form, standing defiant against a horde of demonic creatures. He brandishes a magnificent new spear, its blade burning with a fierce red aura. An armored, monstrous beast immediately charges him, its red eyes glowing with malice. With a single brutal thrust, he skewers the beast, his heroic past now a distant memory. But the horde is endless, as a colossal fanged worm erupts from the ground before him. Faced with this new horror, a wicked grin spreads across his face, his eyes glowing with malice. Undeterred, he plants his foot and charges headfirst into the sea of monsters. His consciousness fades from the battlefield, transitioning to an entirely new reality. He awakens not in a fiery pit, but in a vast cosmic void, his demonic features gone. He looks down at his hands, grappling with the fact of his death, yet feeling an unsettling emotional emptiness. He closes his eyes, trying to piece together his fragmented memories, but finds only a frustrating haze. Two figures cut through the fog of his mind: the monster that ended him, and the woman who tried to save him. Surveying the endless expanse of stars, he questions his new reality, wondering if this is the afterlife. He calls out into the vast emptiness, sensing he is no longer alone. A disembodied voice ripples through the cosmos, addressing him as human. A colossal hooded entity emerges from the darkness, declaring it desires something he possesses. Overwhelmed by the cosmic horror, he demands to know its identity and his location. The entity reveals itself as the Void, explaining this is the end of all realms, and his soul was shattered to get here. It clarifies that just enough of his soul was salvaged for them to piece him back together. A blue flame ignites in his hand, representing his newly reformed soul, as he offers a less than sincere thanks. He examines his new soul, realizing with a chill that his emotional emptiness remains. The Void dismisses his feelings, clarifying it doesn't want gratitude, but a mysterious seal he possesses. Utterly baffled, he insists he has no knowledge of any such seal. The Void reveals a seal bonded with his soul at the moment of his death, urging him to look within. He scoffs at the vague instructions, having no idea how to access his own soul. Deciding not to provoke a cosmic god, he closes his eyes and reluctantly gives it a shot. A brilliant blue light suddenly shines from his chest as he focuses his will. System windows materialize before him, confirming the creation of an astral script and displaying his status as deceased. Floating in the cosmic expanse, he stares in shock at the holographic interface, amazed that the strange command worked. He inspects the details, discovering the seal is a source of infinite potential now permanently fused with him. The cosmic entity expresses its extreme annoyance, realizing separating the seal will be a near impossible task. Noah smirks at the entity's predicament, but the void counters that one solution still remains. The entity offers him a choice: become its puppet and wield immense power, serving as the vessel for its rebirth. The entity reveals its plan. Noah will become a path for its hunger, and in exchange, he will be granted a new life. Unimpressed, Noah looks up and coolly asks about the consequences of refusing this generous offer. The void ominously illustrates its alternative, showing dark tendrils preparing to seize his very soul. It clarifies that upon refusal, his soul will be shattered and consumed to extract the seal's power. A wry smile crosses Noah's face as he sarcastically acknowledges the complete lack of a choice. He pushes his luck with a bit of gallows humor, cheekily asking if he gets a lawyer for this cosmic contract. The entity dismisses mortal laws, explaining this pact is bound solely by the strength of one's spirit. Noah points out the obvious flaw, arguing the pact is inherently unfair against a godlike being. As a system window demands a decision, he realizes with alarm that his memories of life are rapidly slipping away. He desperately clings to the fading sensations of having a body, feeling emotions, and simply being alive. He weighs the cost of the pact, then clenches his fist, firmly deciding to refuse the deal. Noah confronts the entity, theorizing that the so-called god is incapable of taking the seal by force. The cosmic being's voice echoes through the void, addressing him by his full name and calling him a perplexing soul. In response to his defiance, shadowy tendrils lash out from the entity, shooting directly toward him. The dark appendages quickly bind him, wrapping around his limbs and pinning his arms to his sides. A tendril violently constricts around his neck, delivering a sharp, constricting blow. The void declares his choice unacceptable, its purple eyes glowing as it conjures a sphere of crackling energy. Completely restrained, Noah struggles as he is lifted through space toward the imposing cosmic horror. The entity offers a new ultimatum, vowing to harvest the seal from his soul upon his inevitable death. A new system window appears, presenting a revised pact to become the Messiah of the Void. With pure defiance, Noah vehemently rejects the entity's control, refusing to bend to its will. The system mocks him with a new pact, offering only 2 identical yes options to become the Void's Messiah. The entity warns him that his spirit is fracturing under its immense power, and his time is short. It dangles the ultimate temptation before him, the power of a god, to be worshipped by mortals. Still bound, Noah grits his teeth, vowing he will never submit to a monstrous being. The cosmic being shifts its approach, inquiring what terms would finally convince him to cooperate. Released from his bonds, Noah catches his breath as the entity presses him for an answer. He recalls a crucial detail, realizing the pact is governed by the strength of one's spirit. Standing tall, Noah counters with his own deal: let his spirit control the pact, and he will cease his resistance. The void scoffs at the proposal, questioning why it should agree when it could simply obliterate him on the spot. He coolly calls the entity's bluff, stating it can't destroy him for the same reason it hasn't already. The cosmic being grins, acknowledging that a mortal has bested it and surprisingly agrees to his terms. A system notification confirms the pact is sealed, and a violent transformation immediately begins to overwhelm him. The entity reveals the consequence of their deal. The void itself is now tied to his mortal spirit as he's submerged in its power. A system window confirms his transformation is complete and his rebirth is initiated, leaving the entity eager to see the outcome. He is pulled into the swirling purple depths, his hand reaching out as he disappears from the cosmic realm. A system notification confirms a summoning call was answered, transporting him to a new realm named Arendear. He materializes in the center of a grand summoning circle, surrounded by cultists hailing the arrival of an abyssal being. With a hand planted firmly on the glowing circle, he pushes himself up, his arrival now complete. Clearly disoriented from the transition, he clutches his head and questions his strange new location. One of the cultists recoils in shock, stunned that their summoned being can speak. The other robed figures murmur in awe and fear, wondering if this is a test from an ancient power. A hulking warrior steps forward, dragging an offering toward the grand summoning circle. The offering is revealed to be a bound woman, presented as a tribute to their newly summoned being. The warrior formally offers the woman's life as a sacrifice, leaving Noah completely baffled. His expression shifts from confusion to outrage as he realizes the cultist's grim intentions. Unsheathing a massive blade, the warrior prepares to execute the offering himself. The executioner stands poised over the helpless woman, awaiting the command to complete the sacrifice. His mind races as he desperately tries to make sense of the situation and find a way to intervene. A system window materializes before him, generating a new quest that bluntly tells him to run for his life. He stares in disbelief as a system menu materializes, offering access to his new powers. The system confirms his suspicions, giving him a quest to flee for his life in exchange for a map. Annoyed by the system's advice, he realizes the cultists have completely misunderstood who he is. He brushes himself off, deducing they've mistaken him for some powerful ancient elemental. Deciding to play along, he glares at the cultists and demands to know where they've brought him. A trembling cultist bows, explaining they are in the realm of Arendear and seek a favor for their offering. He attempts a menacing tone, questioning why they dared disturb him for a simple favor, though his acting is terrible. The cultists panic at his apparent displeasure, hastily explaining he can now enter the material realm freely. Realizing he's completely in the dark, he sits down to figure out his next move. The system provides a solution, granting him the Identify perk to analyze his surroundings. He activates his new perk, intending to analyze the executioner first. The system identifies the cultists, but labels the captive woman a flame warden, sparking a new plan. Needing a distraction, a brilliant idea forms as he glances at his system interface. He opens his inventory, discovering a mysterious scroll among his new possessions. He reaches directly into the holographic menu and materializes the scroll in his hand. The cultists watch in awe, mistaking his system interaction for godlike teleportation magic. Unfurling the scroll reveals a welcome letter from the void, outlining the bizarre terms of his new existence. Seizing the opportunity, he holds up the scroll and bellows a decree, playing the part of an abyssal master. He boldly declares the captive woman will now serve him, throwing the cultists into confused whispers. He glares down at the stunned followers, daring them to defy his command, and they quickly back down in fear. The cultists are thrown into a panic, arguing that his command breaks an ancient, bloody tradition. Raising a hand to silence their dissent, he confidently steps out of the summoning circle. He looms over the captive, placing a hand on her shoulder as he prepares his next move. Leaning in close, he secretly gives the woman instructions, telling her to play along with his ruse. He lays out the simple plan, instructing her to rise on her own after he makes a show of lifting her. He dramatically lifts the woman, shouting to the cultists that she is now his vessel and under his command. His bold move is met with an unseen cultist's furious outburst of confusion. His irritation grows as the system identifies the main culprits, the abyssal cult chief and his two executors. Realizing his bluff is being called, he quickly helps the woman to her feet as the cultists cry out in alarm. While one cultist marvels at the elemental taking a servant, the furious chief points out the obvious. Noah is just a human. The enraged cult chief furiously orders his followers to capture the imposter. As a cultist tackles him, the system declares his escape quest a failure and issues a new, deadly command. He's thrown hard against the stone floor, and a key for the captive's restraints clatters nearby. Unleashing a surprising fury, he turns the tables and delivers a brutal beatdown on his attacker. The cultist lies defeated on the ground, his arm trembling from the force of the blows. Noah halts his assault, his attention suddenly drawn to the glowing key on the stone altar. With a new objective in mind, he desperately lunges forward to grab the key. Clutching the key, he tries to rouse the captive woman, urging her to break free. He skillfully throws the key toward the captive just as an executor moves in to attack. Having thrown the key, Noah turns to face the sharp point of the executor's blade. The executor charges forward, his blade aimed directly at Noah's heart. Before the blade can connect, shadowy tendrils erupt from the ground, catching Noah by surprise. The tendrils bind him completely as a sinister shadow grins from beneath his feet. Despite the strange intervention, the executor's sword finds its mark, piercing straight through Noah's chest. He stares in shock as a system window confirms a massive drop in his health. The executor brutally yanks his blade free, sending Noah staggering backward from the impact. Lying wounded on the floor, he watches as the cultist raises his sword for the final blow. Just as the blade descends, a sudden burst of fire erupts from beside him. The executor is instantly engulfed in a roaring inferno, his attack cut short by searing pain. Noah watches in stunned silence as his would-be killer is consumed by the unexpected flames. The newly freed Flame Warden makes a powerful entrance, stepping forward as the defeated executor smolders in the background. With her fists wreathed in flames, she stands ready as the remaining cultists foolishly charge toward her. She unleashes a devastating wave of fire, creating a sweeping inferno across the stone floor. The cultists are sent flying as she calmly stands amidst the fiery chaos she has created. Spinning gracefully, she creates a massive vortex of fire, consuming every cultist in its path. Enraged by his followers' failure, the cult chief decides to handle the powerful woman himself. He dashes past the wounded Noah, completely focused on his new, more dangerous opponent. A system notification flashes, warning Noah that his health has plummeted to a critical level. With his last ounce of strength, Noah grabs the chief's leg, determined to stop him. The chief retaliates with another swift strike, as the shadowy entity below grins at the unfolding tragedy. The chief's blade lands with brutal finality, ending Noah's desperate struggle. System notifications flood his vision, confirming a quest is complete and the captive, Arendear, has been freed. A new alert flashes, showing his health has plummeted to a dangerously low 7%. The aftermath of the strike leaves him motionless on the cold stone floor. The system confirms the shadowy entity consumed the cultist, completing the quest on his behalf. He barely registers the notifications, his mind reeling from the fatal injury. As his health drops to 6%, the system offers him a choice: awaken a new path. Lying defeated on the ground, he can't believe his new life is already over. He stares at the stone floor, grimly accepting the cruel joke fate has played on him. His consciousness drifts back into the cosmic void as the system's offer hangs before him. The system announces the start of an awakening process, transporting him to his astral space. His consciousness arrives in a new, bewildering location, his vision blurry as he tries to get his bearings. He finds himself inexplicably inside a claw machine, realizing he's been transported to an arcade. Stepping out into the neon-lit arcade, he feels a sense of nostalgic unfamiliarity with the setting. A mysterious figure watches him, remarking that he has finally arrived. The speaker is revealed to be a man named Dylan, an employee at the arcade's prize counter. Dylan offers a casual wave, as if he's been expecting him all along. Noah glares suspiciously at the stranger, demanding to know his identity and the nature of this place. He immediately suspects another trick, questioning if Dylan is another cosmic entity sent by the void. Dylan holds up his hands placatingly, asking for a moment to explain the bizarre situation. The man introduces himself as Dylan, explaining his lack of a last name as a quirk of Noah's own subconscious. Noah looks unimpressed by this logic, as Dylan confirms his suspicions about his origins. Dylan calmly reveals he is from the void, acting as its representative in their pact. He reluctantly admits their agreement has bound him to Noah's astral space. Accepting the bizarre situation for now, Noah walks over to an arcade cabinet. He grips the joystick, questioning if this entire arcade is his so-called astral script. The screen immediately flashes to life, signaling the start of a new process. A system message announces a special event for his awakening, offering him a choice of 3 paths. Dylan scoffs at his ignorance, explaining the astral script is a magical manifestation of his soul. He elaborates that this arcade is Noah's personal astral space, a form chosen from his own mind. A faint smile crosses Noah's face as he recognizes the arcade from his childhood. He hovers his hand over the joystick, questioning his purpose in this bizarre astral space. Dylan approaches, explaining that while guiding awakenings isn't his job, Noah's case is special. Following Dylan's simple instruction, Noah's finger moves to press the start button. The game screen boots up, announcing it's integrating his past life due to a detected anomaly. A menu of paths appears as Dylan begins to explain the 4 core attributes Noah now possesses. He clarifies that these paths are the key to increasing his attributes and overall strength. Dylan warns that higher-grade paths offer bigger boosts, but can limit his future potential. The screen details the warrior path, a standard choice that grants 1 attribute point per level. Noah flicks the joystick, quickly assessing that the other starting paths are all fairly similar. Dylan suggests exploring other machines, and Noah, unimpressed with the basic paths, readily agrees. The cosmic guide points him toward a new cabinet, recommending a healing-focused path given his dire situation. Noah steps up to the new machine and presses a button to see the available options. A menu of healing classes appears, making him wonder if this choice will save him from his fatal wound. Dylan crushes that hope, explaining time is only slowed and he'll have mere minutes to survive upon his return. His attention is suddenly caught by a far more intriguing and ominous path, the Exsanguinator. The system reveals it's a rare class that manipulates blood, offering both healing and offensive capabilities. Dylan confirms it's a solid choice, a hybrid path of healing and affliction, and Noah seems to agree. With 2 more choices to make, Noah's expression hardens as he prepares to explore the final machines. The 2 stand together in the astral arcade, one a cosmic guide, the other a mortal on the verge of a new destiny. Dylan points to a final machine, suggesting Noah choose a path from its selection. He scoffs at the legendary Void's Herald path, refusing to become a mindless puppet for the entity. After some thought, he settles on 2 other paths he believes will give him a tactical edge. The first is the Astral Walker, an epic path granting boosts to agility and mystic power. The second is the Void Hunter, another epic path that enhances his power and mystic attributes. He confirms his 3 choices, much to the exasperated sighs of his cosmic guide. With his decision made, he pulls the joystick and presses the button to finalize his new paths. He flinches as the arcade cabinet reacts violently to his unconventional choices. Dark, inky tendrils begin to ooze from the machine's screen, which has turned to static. The tendrils form a sinister face and lash out, wrapping around his hands as a low groan echoes from the machine. He struggles as the dark tendrils erupt from the machine, ensnaring his arms. Dylan smirks from the shadows, casually revealing he left out a crucial detail. A swirling vortex of dark energy manifests before Noah, threatening to consume him. His guide nonchalantly informs him that this first awakening will be an agonizing process. Completely bound, Noah is dragged into the portal, shouting in defiance at his cosmic guide. System notifications confirm his 3 new paths are awakened, granting him a trio of powerful new abilities. Another alert confirms his rank has increased, and his new classes have already gained several levels. The system displays a massive boost to his core attributes and awards him a surplus of free points. His consciousness returns to his body, his eyes snapping open with a newfound cold determination. Shaking from the strain, he pushes himself up from the floor, the grievous wound on his chest still fresh. The system confirms his new exsanguinator path has granted him the blood drain ability. He activates the skill, drawing the spilled blood back into his body and receiving a massive regeneration boost. The crimson tendrils on his shirt reverse their flow, pouring back into the gaping wound on his chest. Meanwhile, the cult chief unleashes his own shadowy power, turning his full attention to the Flame Warden. A dark tendril whips through the air, landing a sharp blow against the woman's face. She stands her ground, facing down the cult leader as he conjures a vortex of dark appendages. Smoke rises from her clenched fist as she prepares to meet his dark magic with her own fiery resolve. The system issues a new quest, cheekily suggesting he exterminate the cult chief who summoned him. It follows up with a less than helpful optional objective, simply don't die. The cult chief's attack intensifies, trapping the Flame Warden within a swirling vortex of shadow. The cult chief's shadowy tendril lashes out with blinding speed, but the Flame Warden meets the attack head-on, blocking it with sheer grit. Her fist erupts in a torrent of flames, preparing a powerful counter. She unleashes her fiery power, determined to overwhelm the darkness. Dodging a barrage of shadowy projectiles, she closes the distance to her foe. The 2 combatants face off, one fueled by dark glee, the other by righteous fury. Their opposing energies detonate in a massive explosion of light and shadow. Meanwhile, Noah assesses his new quest, wondering what he can possibly do in his current state. His status screen reveals his new paths and a generous supply of unspent attribute points. He immediately begins to strategize, debating how to best allocate his newfound power. A smirk crosses his face as he strategically allocates his new attribute points for maximum effect. The system confirms his stats have skyrocketed, granting him a significant boost in mana. Meanwhile, the Flame Warden holds her ground, engulfed in fire as she confronts the cult chief's shadowy assault. She gracefully evades a dark attack, landing with perfect balance to counter her foe. With a powerful strike, she slams her fist into the ground, shattering the stone floor with explosive force. The impact sends fissures through the stone, demonstrating the sheer destructive power of her attack. The cult chief stares in disbelief, shocked by the woman's unexpected display of strength. She turns the very ground into a weapon, sending a barrage of stone projectiles hurtling toward him. He dodges with surprising speed, narrowly avoiding the deadly shower of debris. Their opposing powers finally meet, erupting in a cataclysmic explosion of fire and shadow. Amidst the chaos, Noah spots a fallen executor's sword and seizes the opportunity. He then accesses his inventory, recalling the mysterious scroll from the void. Using his new system, he materializes the sword and pushes himself to his feet, ready for a fight. He glances toward the ongoing battle, a new plan already forming in his mind. Just then, the Flame Warden is knocked back by a powerful blow, catching his attention. The cult chief floats menacingly, his dark power on full display as he prepares his next move. Seeing Noah's new resolve, the chief's confidence wavers, and he tries to claim it was all a misunderstanding. Playing his only card, Noah boldly declares himself an emissary of the Void, sent to deliver a message. The chief scoffs at the bluff, but Noah presents the Void's scroll as undeniable proof of his station. The cult chief stares in utter disbelief, completely thrown by this unexpected turn of events. He addresses the cult chief by name, proclaiming the scroll is the Void's answer to his devotion. The chief remains unconvinced, his expression hardening with suspicion at Noah's bold claim. Noah doubles down on his bluff, presenting the scroll as a message from the Void's own incarnation. Enraged by the perceived deception, the chief unleashes his dark power, accusing Noah of daring to lie. A shadowy appendage lashes out to seize the scroll, but Noah's quick thinking saves him. His new Astral Walker path grants him a timely ability, allowing him to teleport in a flash of light. He He activates the skill, blinking out of existence just as the chief's attack misses its mark. Reappearing a safe distance away, he calmly dismisses the system window with a wave of his hand. With his bluff exposed, he switches tactics, pulling the Executor's sword directly from his inventory. The blade materializes in his hand, its sharp point gleaming as he prepares for the inevitable fight. He leaps into the air, sword raised high as he prepares to strike the cult chief. With a powerful downward slash, he brings the blade crashing down on his unsuspecting foe. The sword finds its mark, sinking deep into the cult chief's shoulder. Noah slides gracefully across the stone floor, repositioning for his next move. The wounded chief clutches his injury, his face contorted in pain and disbelief. Seeing his opening, Noah shouts a command to the Flame Warden, signaling their joint attack. Aurelia responds instantly, stomping the ground and shattering the stone with fiery force. She seizes the impaled cult chief, holding him fast as their powers clash. With a decisive blow, she drives the sword deeper, ending the chief's resistance. She then hurls the defeated cultist across the room with a final explosive burst of power. The cult chief cries out in agony as the combined assault overwhelms him. Not wasting a moment, Aurelia leaps high into the air to deliver the finishing blow. She unleashes a furious barrage of fiery punches, pummeling her defenseless enemy. Each strike lands with devastating force, leaving the cultist stunned and broken. Channeling her power into one final move, she delivers a powerful, flaming kick. The impact sends the chief flying as a system window confirms his defeat for Noah. Noah is stunned, as notifications confirm his new paths have already gained multiple levels. As Aurelia lands, the system announces a massive boost to his stats and awards him more free points. He receives a rare reward for completing the quest, as a mysterious progress bar inches forward. With the battle finally won, Noah throws his arms up in sheer, unadulterated relief. Lying on the floor, Noah cheekily informs the Flame Warden that she owes him an explanation. The woman turns the tables, demanding to know his identity and the reason for his strange arrival. Her suspicion grows as she ignites her fist, revealing she can't trust him after being betrayed once before. She interrogates him further, questioning if he is even a human native to her world. Noah hesitates, visibly struggling with how to answer her pointed questions without revealing too much. Her gaze hardens as she waits, sensing his hesitation and wondering if he's hiding a dangerous secret. After a moment of deliberation, he simply denies being from her world, leaving her more confused. Frustrated, she lists off potential enemy factions trying to place his allegiance. He pushes himself up, completely clueless about the local politics she's referencing. Standing before her, he insists on his ignorance, but her fiery glare shows her distrust remains. She lowers her guard, apologizing for her earlier hostility and offering a backhanded thanks for his help. She explains her caution, revealing she was betrayed by her own adventuring team just before being captured. Noah shows a flicker of sympathy for her difficult day, and she seems to finally relax. He tries to explain his hesitation by referencing his system's quest to survive, leaving her utterly baffled. His gaming terminology completely flies over her head as she stares at him in total confusion. Deciding to change tactics, he introduces himself as Noah and casually drops the bombshell that he was reborn into her world. Her eyes widen in disbelief, knowing that resurrection is only possible through divine power. He throws his hands up in surrender, admitting that he is just as lost as she is. Finally convinced, she accepts his story, acknowledging that while rare, outerworlders like him do exist. She unexpectedly sits down on the floor across from him, ready to talk, leaving Noah looking puzzled. Noah questions her decision to meditate, pointing out they should be escaping the dangerous ruins. Her calm demeanor only confirms her suspicion that he is truly a stranger to this world. She explains that meditation is the standard method for replenishing one's depleted mana. Aurelia then points out his own low mana aura, leaving him baffled by the concept of awakened beings. The idea of auras and awakened individuals is completely foreign, leaving him utterly lost. He tries to relate it to simple magic tricks, but she teases him for choosing the dark exsanguinator path. Her comment makes him nervous, and he quickly asks if his chosen class is considered taboo. She reassures him it's acceptable, then reminds him to focus on replenishing his energy. As he attempts to meditate, a new system window suddenly materializes above his head. The system confirms he has learned the meditation skill, inspiring him to explore his other newfound abilities. He decides to use the downtime to explore his new system interface. The system displays his 3 new abilities, one for each of his chosen paths. Already familiar with healing and teleportation, he focuses on the mysterious 3rd ability. The system describes Obliterate as a powerful annihilation skill, sparking his curiosity. He tests the skill, only to find it rapidly drains his own life force to use. A sinister grin spreads across his face, realizing his healing path perfectly complements this dangerous power. Just then, Aurelia's mana is fully restored and she stands up, ready to leave the ruins. The two walk past the remains of the cult chief, leaving the chamber behind. Suddenly, Aurelia stops and leans down, having discovered something among the debris. She holds up an ornate golden artifact, identifying it as a magical storage device. Aurelia explains they can access the artifact's contents once they reach a city, piquing Noah's interest. He wonders if his own system's inventory could be transferred to a physical object for convenience. She reveals a major drawback. These devices are blood-bound and impossible to open, even after the owner's demise. With no other option, she begins searching the chief's remains for a key to unlock the artifact. Noah asks to inspect the device, and she casually tosses it over to him. As he examines the artifact, his eyes glow with a familiar blue light, his system kicking in. A system window confirms it has detected the device, offering to transfer its contents directly to his inventory. Without a moment's hesitation, he presses the Yes button, bypassing the blood-bound lock. A flood of notifications confirms he's looted everything, including mana stones, potions, and a rare ring. Meanwhile, Aurelia continues her search, now looking for a cellar key among the chief's belongings. He casually presents the key, leaving Aurelia stunned and demanding to know where he found it. He coolly explains he looted it from the chief's storage device, listing off the impressive haul. She marvels at his impossible ability as he nonchalantly hands over the key she was searching for. Deciding he needs a new outfit, he materializes a dark robe directly from his system's inventory. After equipping the new robe, his attention turns to the last, more ominous item he acquired. The system identifies the unsettling artifact as the Ring of Abyssal Eye. As Aurelia deals with the chief's remains, she recognizes the item and explains its power-boosting properties. Despite his unease, he equips the creepy ring, immediately receiving a notification that his skills have leveled up. A system window details the ring's impressive stats, including boosts to mana, perception, and identification. Meanwhile, Aurelia gives the defeated cult chief's body a final, unceremonious kick out of their path. With his new ring's power, Noah's eyes glow as he uses his Identify skill on Aurelia. The system reveals she's a level 68 Flame Warden, a power level that rivals the defeated cult chief. He turns his attention back to his system, ready to make use of his newly acquired loot. A wicked grin spreads across his face as he realizes the potential of his new gear. He materializes a sharp, glowing dagger from his inventory, testing its weight in his hand. Thrilled with his free weapon, he gives the new blade a few practice swings. Meanwhile, Aurelia calmly steps over the remains of their former foe, her expression unreadable. A small flame ignites in her palm as she turns to face Noah with a serious question. She astutely guesses this was his first time taking a life, and he seems surprised she noticed. Her weary expression reveals a long history of combat, explaining she can recognize a novice when she sees one. Noah questions her motivations, and she lists wealth and respect as reasons for her life as an adventurer. Gazing into the flames, she reveals her true purpose is to help people and fight the evil in the world. She then turns the tables, asking if he feels any regret over what he had to do. He answers without hesitation, stating he has no regrets since it was a matter of his own survival. Aurelia smiles, agreeing that their actions prevented the cult from harming more innocents. His attention shifts back to his system, where he pulls a book icon directly from the holographic menu. Holding the newly materialized tome, he asks if she thinks he has what it takes to be an adventurer. She praises his quick thinking and calm demeanor, impressed by how he handled the chaotic situation. He accepts the compliment with a genuine smile, clutching the book he just acquired. He then asks how to use the tomes, and she explains it requires a special kind of ritual magic. Aurelia explains that using the tome requires a complex ritual, which she offers to perform for him. Ignoring her, he places a hand on the book, causing it to erupt in a brilliant blue light that startles her. He confidently believes his system will allow him to bypass the need for any traditional magic. The book floats into the air and activates on its own, leaving Aurelia completely bewildered by the impossible sight. A system window materializes from the tome, asking if he wants to unlock a new site-based ability. Without a hint of hesitation, his finger moves forward to confirm his decision. The system then prompts him to choose which of his 3 paths will receive the new skill. He selects his Void Hunter path, and the system immediately confirms the tome has been consumed. A glowing sigil appears before his eye as the system announces he has unlocked the Void Hunter's Eye ability. His Ring of Abyssal Eye flares with power, instantly boosting his new skill to level 3. A brilliant light erupts as the new skill activates, branding his forehead with a mystical eye. His vision sharpens, and the world around him comes into focus with incredible clarity. He revels in his newfound perception, feeling like he's experiencing this new world in high definition. Turning to Aurelia, he's eager to test his new sight on the powerful warrior beside him. He marvels at her fiery energy, but she corrects him, explaining he's seeing her personal aura, not just mana. Looking at his own hands, he realizes he can now perceive his own swirling, dark aura. His modern slang leaves Aurelia confused, forcing him to clarify his excitement over the new power. Wasting no time, he moves on to the second tome, prompting his system to ask if he wants to learn another skill. The book dissolves into crimson light, granting his exsanguinator path a new and sinister bleed ability. He explains the skill's power to Aurelia, who confirms that such an ability is exceptionally rare. Aurelia instructs him to consume a low-grade mana stone before they depart. He curiously asks about the effects of a stronger stone, and she warns him of mana poisoning. She clarifies that a slightly stronger stone offers a minor boost, but results in a painful sickness. Continuing her explanation, she notes a much stronger stone provides a temporary, massive power increase. The downside, she warns, is a painful and potentially lethal paralysis that follows the power surge. She grimly concludes that anything more potent would cause him to meet a swift and explosive end. And if he's unlucky, the immense power would result in a slow, agonizing demise from within. Unfazed by the dire warnings, Noah smirks and holds the mana stone, ready to proceed. As they walk, Aurelia begins tidying the area, certain there's a hidden storage chamber nearby. She reveals she's also searching for items belonging to someone she was sent to find, making Noah wonder if others are alive. Aurelia clenches her fist, revealing she was the last survivor from a small underground dungeon. She warns him to stay alert for traps or lingering cultists as they search for her companion's items. The two cautiously make their way down a long stone corridor. As they navigate the ancient ruins, Noah keeps a watchful eye on their surroundings. Peeking around a corner, she asks him to hand over the storage device they found. He returns the golden artifact, and she accepts it with a nod. A burst of fire erupts from her hand as she prepares to use the device. Raising the artifact high, she channels her power, causing it to emit a brilliant golden light. The light reveals a massive wall covered in glowing runes, leaving Noah to ponder the cult's twisted faith. He grimly concludes that no matter the world, human nature remains depressingly familiar. Aurelia reflects on the many paths that lead people to ruin, from the allure of power to misguided faith. She clarifies that the cultists they faced were all willing adults who had chosen their dark path. As they venture deeper, Aurelia kneels to inspect the floor of the ancient corridor. She identifies a shimmering illusion, warning Noah they must leap over it to avoid a hidden trap. Noah clarifies his concern isn't for the cultists, but for any innocent victims who were forced into this life. Aurelia reveals that for millennia, priests have developed methods for dealing with the abyss's influence. She describes a brutal purification ritual, a fiery ordeal that serves as both a cure and a public punishment. The ritual is so harrowing that the few who manage to survive are left permanently scarred by the experience. Horrified by this cruelty, Noah trembles as he considers the fate of a child forced to endure such a trial. Aurelia grimly explains that in those cases, a swift end is considered a mercy as they approach a spiked gate. Aurelia's sharp eyes catch something ahead, her expression turning serious. They find their path blocked by a massive door, sealed with glowing blue magic. Deciding subtlety is overrated, she announces her plan to punch the magical lock open. Flames erupt around her arm as she channels her immense power into her fist. With a furious battle cry, she unleashes a devastating fiery punch toward the door. The impact creates a massive explosion, shattering the magical barrier with raw force. Noah smirks at her brute force solution, while she nonchalantly cools her smoking fist. Stepping through the wreckage, they find themselves in what appears to be the cult chief's private study. After a quick search, Aurelia flips through a book, finding nothing of importance. Noah reasons that a paranoid cult leader would never keep his real treasures in plain sight. Tapping his foot, Noah considers a classic movie trope for finding secrets. He tests his theory by pulling a random book from the shelf. When another book refuses to budge, his suspicions are confirmed. The system identifies the book as a rare tome, offering to teach him an advanced summoning skill. He dismisses the notification, prioritizing the search for the hidden passage. Relying on movie logic, he begins tapping books on the floor to find a trigger. Pushing one book back into the shelf reveals a hidden keyhole. He calmly pulls the necessary key directly from his system's inventory. Holding up the golden key, he gives Aurelia a knowing glance. With a satisfying click, he inserts the key into the secret lock. The bookshelf rumbles and begins to shift, confirming his movie-inspired hunch was correct. With a final clack, the shelf slides aside, revealing a secret chamber filled with alchemical supplies. She marvels at his discovery, and he explains it's a common trope from his world, much to her amusement. Peering into the darkness, they discover a grim scene with bloodstains on the floor below. Aurelia summons a small orb of light, a magical firefly to guide their way through the gloom. The light reveals a hidden dungeon, a long corridor lined with cells and stained with old blood. As they step into the grim hallway, a new system notification suddenly appears before Noah. The system announces a new hidden quest, challenging him to uncover the secrets whispered by the blood. He explains his new quest compels them forward, noting that the rewards and difficulty are ominously unknown. The two exchange a look of grim understanding, both sensing the ominous nature of this new path. Noah places a hand on her shoulder, suggesting she stay behind for her own safety. Aurelia counters, pointing out that as a newly awakened, he is the one who's truly in danger. She dismisses him as a low-ranked novice, completely out of his depth in this situation. Kneeling by a bloodstain, she insists he should be on simpler quests, not in an abyssal cult's dungeon. He points toward the exit, logically suggesting they retreat and return with backup. She refuses, revealing her treacherous former team is still around and she had other allies with her. Aurelia explains her companions were slain, and she must find them before they rise as undead monsters. Tapping his ring, Noah makes his decision, resolving to accompany her on this grim task. He vows with newfound confidence that he will not allow her to die in these ruins. She playfully scoffs at his protective declaration, while he defensively reminds her of his role in their recent victory. She admits he's adapting well to magic, and he cheekily credits his video game experience. With her magical firefly lighting the way, Aurelia leads them down a path to the left. They squeeze through a narrow corridor, which she explains is a defensive measure to slow intruders. She tests the mana-forged walls with a light punch, confirming they're incredibly durable. Reaching another sealed door, Noah wonders if she plans on punching this one open too. Instead of using force, she simply reaches out and tries the doorknob. The door swings open without resistance, and she cautiously pulls him inside. Stepping into a room littered with papers, she concedes that his hunch was correct. Aurelia identifies the chamber as the cult chief's secret study, filled with his research. While she struggles to decipher the scattered notes, Noah discovers the chief's true plans hidden within a book. The journal reveals the chief's twisted goal, creating a chimera from his familiar. His first attempt was a mindless beast, but he laments the loss of a second, more intelligent prototype. The notes reveal the unstable process required a stronger base, specifically an awakened human like Noah. As he finishes reading, a system window confirms his quest is complete, offering no reward for the grim discovery. Suddenly, a volley of crimson daggers materializes, aimed directly at him. Wasting no time, Aurelia grabs him and makes a desperate dash for the exit. They stop in their tracks, discovering the body of one of Aurelia's fallen companions. With his last breath, the man mutters a cryptic warning about his master's sorrow. A loud thud from a nearby cage draws their attention to a new looming threat. A grotesque three-eyed monster peers from the bars, identified by the system as a flesh-grafted horror. Aurelia realizes with horror that the creature is made from the other prisoners. Noah notes the grotesque monster seems to be ignoring them for now. The two let out a synchronized sigh of relief, but their respite is short-lived. Suddenly, one of the creature's faces points at Noah, identifying him as its master's killer. His hand clenches as he realizes the monster is drawn to the cult chief's ring. Noah curses his oversight, understanding the ring has just made him the monster's primary target. The flesh-grafted horror breaks free from its cage, lunging forward with terrifying speed. Aurelia shoves him out of the way, unleashing a torrent of flames to intercept the beast. He narrowly dodges the chaos, throwing up a system window as a desperate last-second shield. A new quest appears, challenging him to escape the familiar's vengeance for a chance at an epic reward. He frantically tries to use his system, but the monster is already upon them. The grotesque creature focuses its three eyes on Noah, intent on avenging its fallen master. Its powerful grip seizes Aurelia's hand, signaling the start of its brutal assault. The sheer force of the attack sends Noah sprawling as he realizes they need to escape immediately. Aurelia is tossed aside like a ragdoll, her body slamming hard against the stone floor. The familiar lands in a pool of liquid, its many faces chanting a single-minded vow of death. It lets out a horrifying roar, its massive tongue lashing out in a grotesque display. Before he can react, a monstrous hand seizes his arm, pulling him off balance. He tries to activate his blink ability to escape, but discovers his skill has been mysteriously disabled. The creature grins sadistically, savoring his terror as it prepares to finish him off. The system confirms his aura is suppressed, disabling his blink ability as the monster swings him through the air. He's violently thrown across the stone floor, barely managing to land on his feet. The creature turns its glowing green eye on Aurelia, marking her as its next target. With a chorus of voices, the familiar vows to exterminate the Flame Warden. Aurelia slides back, holding her ground as the grotesque beast lunges at her. She realizes her flames are ineffective against its rapid regeneration and searches for a new strategy. The monster's body suddenly erupts in a mass of sharp, bony spikes. Noah recoils from a piercing shriek, but a system notification confirms he resisted the mental attack. Now covered in spikes, the creature leaps into the air, preparing to rain down destruction. Aurelia gracefully dodges a volley of deadly projectiles that shatter the ground where she stood. With incredible agility, Aurelia deflects the deadly spikes with a series of fiery punches. She retaliates with a massive, explosive burst of her own power. The force of the blast sends the grotesque creature crashing violently to the ground. Aurelia lands gracefully and checks on Noah, who is still recovering from the sonic attack. The wounded familiar staggers back to its feet, far from defeated. It spins rapidly, transforming its spiky body into a vortex of shadowy tendrils. The monster unleashes a deadly storm of dark projectiles from the swirling mass. Both Noah and Aurelia leap aside, narrowly avoiding the lethal barrage. Aurelia immediately prepares a counter, channeling a burst of fire into her fist. Her eyes glow with fierce determination as she focuses all her energy into the next attack. Engulfed in fire, she dives headfirst into the swirling vortex of darkness. She lands a devastating punch, unleashing a massive explosion of pure, fiery energy. As she lands, the inferno consumes the grotesque creature, its many faces crying out. The souls trapped within the monster let out a final, agonizing wail as they're overwhelmed by the flames. She creates a wall of fire with a sweep of her arm, forcing the writhing mass of bodies to stay back. Noah is disturbed by the helpless cries of the souls trapped within the familiar. With grim determination, she gathers her remaining power for one final, purifying attack. Raising her hands, she unleashes a towering inferno to completely incinerate the abomination. The creature is caught in the fiery vortex, its form twisting as it's consumed by the blaze. Noah watches nervously, wondering why the incredibly resilient monster still hasn't been defeated. Noah watches in disbelief as the creature, far from defeated, begins to stir within the flames. Its flesh twitches and shudders, writhing in agony as it undergoes a horrific transformation. The grotesque mass cracks open, revealing a new, more monstrous form emerging from within. The beast reveals its true draconic shape, letting out a piercing shriek that echoes through the chamber. A system notification confirms Noah heard the creature's phantom wail, but managed to partially resist its power. Despite his resistance, a series of debuffs flood his screen, crippling his stats and regeneration. Staggering from the mental assault, Noah barely registers the creature's tail whipping past him. The beast unleashes a lightning-fast tail strike, shattering the stone floor with a single blow. He desperately tries to activate his blink ability to escape the onslaught, but the skill fails to trigger. The monster's attack connects, sending him flying backward with brutal force. The creature's massive tongue ensnares Aurelia, pulling her off balance with terrifying force. She's violently slammed against the stone wall, the impact echoing through the chamber. Having dealt with the Flame Warden, the monster turns its three-eyed gaze back toward Noah. It unleashes a horrifying shriek, preparing to finish off the downed Aurelia. Just in the nick of time, Noah successfully activates his blink ability to teleport across the room. He reappears with a powerful kick to the beast's head, earning a level up for his timely skill usage. The monster staggers back, stunned by the unexpected and well-aimed blow. Noah lands with a grimace, his frustration mounting as the battle rages on. From the ground, Aurelia watches in disbelief, struggling to recover from the brutal assault. Taking a stand, Noah positions himself between the monster and his injured ally, ready to defend her. He activates his blink skill, using the brief window to reposition himself. He plunges his dagger into the beast's back, but a notification confirms the creature resisted his bleed effect. As the monster retaliates with a spiky wing, he teleports away in a flash of light. Reappearing on the creature's back, he prepares to strike again, ignoring a low mana warning. Feeling the strain, he pulls out a mana stone, his glowing eye fixed on his target. He crushes the stone, instantly refilling his mana, but suffering from minor mana poisoning as he attacks. Empowered by the energy surge, he unleashes a furious flurry of slashes with his daggers. With the monster temporarily down, he leaps back to create some distance. He trembles from the exertion, realizing the Mana Stone's side effects are taking their toll. Just then, a new system notification appears, revealing his Exsanguinator path has unlocked a new skill. He stares in disbelief as a notification confirms the monster has completely resisted his new ability. Undeterred, he teleports directly above the creature, preparing to plunge his dagger into its back. With a bead of sweat on his brow, he grips his weapon, his expression hardening with grim resolve. He unleashes a powerful slash, his blade glowing with energy as he carves into the monster's flesh. System notifications flood his vision, confirming his bleed effect was resisted and his mana is critically low. Realizing his attacks are failing, he leaps from the creature's back to create some much-needed distance. Staggering from exhaustion, he pulls out a high-grade mana stone and crushes it in his mouth without hesitation. A system window confirms his mana is overcharged and his stats are boosted, but he's now suffering from severe mana poisoning. Empowered by the surge of energy, he blinks back onto the monster for another relentless assault. A swirling vortex of dark energy erupts from his hand as he unleashes his newly unlocked skill. He channels his overcharged mana into his Void Hunter's ultimate skill, Obliterate. The devastating attack consumes the beast's head as Noah leaps away to safety. With grim determination, he watches to see if his final gambit paid off. He follows up with a powerful, dual-wielded slash cutting deep into the creature's form. His overcharged state allows him to strike from multiple angles at once in a blur of motion. As the monster finally dissolves, notifications confirm his key skills have leveled up from the intense fight. Believing the fight is finally over, he prepares to deliver a finishing blow. He plunges his daggers into the creature's remains, determined to end it once and for all. But to his horror, the monster's head regenerates and lunges forward, still very much alive. The mana buff wears off, hitting him with severe paralysis and a migraine as he's thrown to the ground, utterly spent. The monster lets out a furious roar, lunging forward to consume its resilient prey. Its massive tongue ensnares Noah, wrapping tightly around his paralyzed body. Completely immobilized, he lies helpless on the floor, fully at the creature's mercy. Meanwhile, Arendear sits defeated in a pool of water, too weak to intervene. The grotesque beast swallows him whole, its fleshy throat bulging with the effort. Its body shudders violently as it begins to digest its latest victim. Suddenly, a blade bursts from within the creature as a system window confirms Noah has inflicted bleed. Notifications confirm he's draining the monster's life force to heal himself and remove his debuffs. The familiar collapses in agony as the internal bleeding intensifies, its body racked with pain. A bloody gash rips open across its torso, and a hand reaches out as Noah begins to tear his way free. Covered in the creature's remains, Noah triumphantly emerges from the monster he defeated from within. He walks away from the carcass, leaving a trail of bloody footprints as he approaches the exhausted Arendear. A barrage of notifications confirms his victory, granting him multiple level-ups and a massive stat boost. His quest completion rewards him with a legendary-grade Tome of Lifeblood, a prize of immense value. As he collapses, a new notification reveals an unknown entity has absorbed the monster, initiating a mysterious unlocking sequence. He stares at the strange progress bar, which has far exceeded its initial requirement. The system simply displays an unlocking message, leaving the nature of this new power a mystery. Overwhelmed by the battle's toll, his eyes close as he finally succumbs to exhaustion. The last of his strength gives out, and he collapses face first onto the cold stone floor. With both heroes incapacitated, the chamber falls silent, leaving them vulnerable in the grim aftermath. His hand trembles in a pool of blood as he slowly regains consciousness. He forces himself to kneel, clutching his head as the agonizing after-effects of the battle set in. Despite the pain, he enters a meditative state, his system confirming his mana is rapidly regenerating. Suddenly, a strange blue energy envelops his body, interrupting his recovery. The energy throws him back to the ground, leaving him to wonder what is happening to him. A flood of notifications reveals the source of his pain, a long list of debilitating status effects. Arendear, having recovered, approaches him and asks if he's all right. She walks away, remarking on the miracle of their survival and thanking him for saving her. She clenches her fist, frustrated with her own performance and how easily she was defeated. Her steps halt just before she reaches the bloodied form of her fallen companion. Arendear calmly identifies his condition as mana poisoning and prepares to help him. She reassures the blood-soaked Noah that his affliction isn't a major cause for concern. Explaining that mana poisoning is rarely fatal, she reveals there's a simple cure for it. She instructs him to sit and completely purge his body of all remaining mana. He meets her confident gaze with grim determination, ready to follow her lead. A dark aura erupts around him as he forces the corrupted energy out from his core. His system immediately confirms he has begun the process of draining his mana. A diagnostic window displays his heart beating erratically as he pushes through the pain. A new notification flashes, warning him that his mana reserves are now critically low. He pants heavily, visibly drained as he nears the end of the exhausting purification process. With a final, agonizing push, he slams his hands on the floor, expelling the last of the corrupted energy. A system notification confirms his mana is at 0, and the poisoning has been successfully purged. He collapses backward, utterly exhausted, as Arendear advises him to rest and let his power recover. She warns him it could take days, but he ignores her, already asking his system for a potion. Arendear provides a flask of water, which he gratefully accepts and chugs down. Wasting no time, he pulls out the legendary tome he earned, determined to get even stronger. He holds the book, which begins to glow with immense power as he prepares to absorb it. The system prompts him to use the legendary Tome of Lifeblood, offering to unlock a new ability. He accepts, and a brilliant golden light erupts from the tome, engulfing him in its power. A final notification confirms his Exsanguinator path has successfully unlocked the new Lifeblood ability. A system window details his new Lifeblood skill, which doubles his health regeneration and grants poison immunity. Arendear asks about the new power, and he explains it allows him to store health for a healing burst. She crosses her arms in frustration, complaining that he gets all the ridiculously overpowered abilities. He coolly retorts that her world's magic is just as unfair, a point she begrudgingly accepts. His attention shifts back to his system, a thoughtful expression on his face as he plans his next move. A new notification reveals the mysterious entity has unlocked, asking if he wishes to consume it. He swipes the newly available item from the holographic menu, ready to claim his prize. The system identifies the mysterious reward as a shard of infinite potential. He holds up his ring, believing the shard will enhance his identify skill and reveal hidden information. A final notification explains the shard can be consumed to gain a new aspect and unlock a mysterious seal. He asks Arendear about the incomplete description, and she explains it's likely due to a seal or a weak skill. Ignoring the potential risks, he decisively confirms his choice to consume the mysterious shard. A system notification confirms he has absorbed the unknown item, its true nature still a mystery. A barrage of system alerts floods his vision, questioning the sudden modification of his genetic code. He collapses to his knees, overwhelmed by the system's chaotic process, as Arendear looks on in concern. A new quest suddenly appears, challenging him to find more of these mysterious shards scattered across the world. He cries out in agony as sharp spikes begin to painfully protrude from his back. A notification reveals his transformation failed, but a mysterious devourer has initiated a purification process. He questions the strange purification as a vortex of dark energy erupts from his body, pulling him inward. The powerful vortex violently drags him into its swirling depths as Arendear watches, helpless. He violently expels a dark, corrupted substance from his body in a fit of agony. Overwhelmed by the dizzying purification, he collapses onto the stone floor. A system notification chimes in, announcing the harrowing process is finally complete. The window confirms he's been purified, his abilities enhanced, and all his stats permanently increased. Still covered in grime, he slowly processes the sudden and powerful upgrade he just received. His body finally gives out from the ordeal, slumping to the ground as Arendear watches. She's stunned by the sheer amount of corruption he expelled, wondering about the nature of his world. Sometime later, he washes away the blood and filth of the battle under a much-needed shower. He reflects on his bizarre new life, a stark contrast to his mundane job just yesterday. The system even chimes in to confirm the shower has cleansed him and removed his exhaustion. Stepping out of the steam, he dries himself off, his new physique a testament to his recent trials. Now dressed and rested, he pulls up his attribute screen, ready to invest the 30 points he's earned. Swiping to a new screen, his eyes widen in disbelief at the unexpected ability he's just unlocked. The system reveals his new Devourer aspect, a unique growth-type ability that rewards him for fighting powerful enemies. He marvels at the immediate 5% stat boost and wonders about the potential of its growth property. A quick check confirms the growth attribute can be strengthened through his own actions or magical means. Wasting no time, he allocates his points and a surge of power flows through him as his stats skyrocket. A series of notifications confirm massive increases to his agility, constitution, and mystic attributes. Just then, Arendear peeks into the room, surprised to find him already awake and recovered. Caught off guard, he nervously offers her the shower, a bead of sweat running down his face. Arendear casually informs him that she's already bathed, leaving him completely baffled. She explains with a smirk that she took the opportunity while he was unconscious, and she was securing the area. He calculates he must have been out for a couple of hours, a fact that clearly surprises him. Growing impatient, she asks if he's finally ready to leave the grim confines of the dungeon. Without waiting for an answer, she leaps into action, urging him to follow her to their next destination. He questions her again about her cleanliness, but she simply reiterates that she's already taken care of it. He remains skeptical, finding it hard to believe she could have cleaned up so quickly after their intense battle. She demonstrates her power by instantly drying his clothes with her fire magic, a convenience he can't deny. As they walk, she mentions another perk of her powers is immunity to the cold, while he fondly recalls winter from his world. Nearing an exit, he introduces the concept of ice cream, a delicacy from his world he thinks she might enjoy. He continues to praise his world's food, but Arendear is just confused by his strange mannerisms. They finally step out of the dark ruins and into a vibrant, sunlit forest. Noah is stunned by the sight and sounds of the outside world after being trapped underground. While Arendear is simply relieved to be free, Noah stares at the sky in utter disbelief. He's shocked to discover this world has 2 suns, a fact Arendear finds completely normal. Noah questions how they tell time, but she explains the simple logic of their day and night cycle. She clarifies their world's celestial mechanics, detailing the orbits of the 2 suns and their unique dawns and dusks. He quietly contemplates the alien concept of a world with 2 suns and a first dawn. A system notification suddenly appears, confirming his escape quest is complete and he's unlocked a map function. His eyes widen as the new system feature activates, processing the sudden influx of information. Noah asks if she found her companion's items, but she reveals a simple child's protective charm. She grimly adds she found it in one of the prison cells, leaving Noah to ponder its dark implications. A new quest pops up, directing him to return the charm to Lefar village for a small reward. Before he can process this, Aurelia suddenly dashes ahead, startling him. She stops to announce they'll make camp for the night, offering to teach him the basics of adventuring. He bows respectfully, calling her senpai, leaving her to wonder if he's mocking her. As the sun set, he reassures her that he is being completely sincere. The next morning, Noah is shocked by an unexpected sight and asks Aurelia for an explanation. She casually introduces him to the two massive armored beasts she's tamed to serve as their mounts. He eyes the giant creatures warily, concerned they might see him and Aurelia as their next meal. She confidently leaps onto the back of one of the beasts, dismissing his concerns. She explains the creatures are called armadilles, tame herbivores that can be easily bribed with food. He listens to her explanation, still looking a bit skeptical but accepting the new information. With Aurelia already mounted, Noah cautiously approaches the second armadillo waiting for him. He tentatively pats the creature's armored side as it peacefully munches on some nearby grass. Finding it docile enough, he attempts to heave himself onto the creature's broad armored back. His attempt fails spectacularly as he loses his grip and tumbles ungracefully to the ground. Instead of helping, Aurelia simply kicks her mount's side, urging it to move forward. She laughs at his clumsy display and rides off, leaving him scrambling on the ground and calling after her. Deciding he's had enough of walking, Noah activates his blink skill for a much faster solution. In a flash of light, he reappears triumphantly on the back of the second armadillo. The beast suddenly lurches forward, and he struggles to keep his balance on the moving creature. He frantically kicks the armadillo's side, trying to urge it to follow Aurelia. The creature turns its head with a stubborn look, completely ignoring his commands. Aurelia calls back, warning him to grab on tight as she prepares to set off at speed. The armadillo's powerful claws dig into the side of a massive tree, preparing for an unexpected ascent. To his shock, both beasts begin running vertically up the giant tree trunk, defying gravity. His mount comes to an abrupt halt and he loses his grip, crying out as he begins to fall. Aurelia looks back in alarm as he plummets from the side of the colossal tree. A system window appears, confirming he's activating his blink skill to save himself from the fall. He reappears midair, desperately clinging to a thick tree branch to break his fall. His relief is short-lived as the branch cracks ominously under his weight. With a loud snap, the branch gives way, sending him plummeting once more. He lands ungracefully on a lower branch, hanging upside down as Aurelia erupts in laughter. To add insult to injury, the curious armadillo gives his face a slimy lick. Aurelia can't contain her amusement, thoroughly enjoying his clumsy display from her perch. He shoots her an annoyed glare, silently communicating his displeasure with the situation. Now both riding at speed, she playfully asks if he's finally enjoying himself. His mood has completely shifted, and he grins with pure exhilaration, comparing the ride to flying on a dragon. His comment catches her off guard, and she questions the existence of dragons in his non-magical world. He clarifies that dragons in his world are purely fictional, existing only in stories and myths. He then compares them to his world's dinosaurs, giant creatures that lived millions of years in the past. Noah adds that these ancient beasts were wiped out by a cataclysm long before humans ever appeared. Aurelia remarks that it's a good thing, as real elder dragons can destroy cities, though many now believe them to be myths. She then reveals a conspiracy theory. The myths are a cover-up for battles between elite groups of the Awakened. Noah finds her conspiracy theory about hidden battles and dragon myths quite intriguing. When she asks for his opinion, he admits that after everything he's seen, he's open to the possibility of their existence. He reasons that in a world with so many impossible creatures, dragons don't seem so far-fetched. Aurelia agrees with his logic, mentioning she's also encountered something that defied all explanation. Her comment leaves him puzzled, as he tries to recall when she could have faced such a powerful entity without him knowing. Aurelia announces the forest canopy is ending, forcing them to descend to the ground. She estimates their journey to Lefar village will take another 4 hours on foot. To pass the time, she offers to give him a proper introduction to the world of Arendear. As they emerge from the forest, they're spotted by villagers who excitedly point them out. Both Noah and Aurelia are taken aback by the unexpected reception from the locals. They ride toward a large crowd of villagers who have gathered to greet them enthusiastically. The crowd erupts in cheers, their faces filled with excitement and relief at their arrival. Noah wonders if this hero's welcome is a common occurrence for a renowned adventurer like her. She clarifies that such grand receptions are only common in smaller, more isolated villages. Riding through the cheering crowd, Noah decides he could definitely get used to this kind of attention. He soaks in the adoration of the crowd, a smug smile on his face. They dismount in a quiet courtyard where a young stable hand approaches to take their mounts. Noah gives his mount a friendly pat, thanking the creature for the wild ride. Aurelia hands the stable hand a pouch, instructing him to feed the beasts and add mana cores to their meal. The young man's eyes widen as he examines the valuable mana cores she gave him. Noah questions her generosity, but she explains that a good tip ensures better service, a universal truth he accepts. She then warns him to be careful what he reveals, as nothing about him is common sense in this world. While she might understand, she explains that to the people of this isolated village, he's a complete anomaly. She wryly concludes that a talking plant would probably cause less of a stir than he would. Entering a local establishment, they are formally greeted by a man who appears to be the proprietor. The innkeeper warmly inquires about the length of their stay. Aurelia pays with 2 mana crystals, requesting a room for 1 night with 2 beds. The innkeeper slides a golden key across the counter, directing them to their room. She hands Noah the key, explaining she has business to attend to and asking if he'll rest. He declines, preferring to soak in the atmosphere of a place where he isn't being hunted. His morbid comment earns him awkward stares from both Aurelia and the innkeeper. Annoyed, she warns him to watch his words before patting his shoulder and heading out. Noah cheekily remarks to the innkeeper about her fiery personality, which he finds endearing. The innkeeper offers him a drink, deducing he's either a fool or an adventurer for braving the lost woods. He concludes that regardless of the reason, Noah definitely looks like he could use a strong drink. Noah agrees to the drink, admitting that despite the early hour, he could certainly use one. The innkeeper enthusiastically calls for a mug of ale, the tavern bustling with life around them. The proprietor asks for his name, and Noah introduces himself, confirming he's new to the area. As a full mug is placed before him, Noah decides to make a surprising confession. He startles the man by revealing he only awakened yesterday, taking a long gulp from his mug. The innkeeper questions why a new awakened is with an E-ranker, warning him not to risk his life for a woman. Ignoring the advice, Noah savors the drink with a look of pure, blissful satisfaction. He clarifies that his awakening was forced by circumstance and Aurelia is just helping him, making the innkeeper nostalgic. The innkeeper introduces himself as Lorien, and the 2 men shake hands across the table. A system notification identifies Lorien as a stone-carved warrior, prompting Noah to ask about his adventuring past. Lorien explains he retired after an accident cost him his magic, grateful just to be alive. Noah asks what kind of monster could do that, surprised that abilities can be permanently lost. The innkeeper recounts a quest in a northern dungeon where his party was ambushed by an unknown entity. A flashback reveals a translucent monster instantly paralyzed his team, resulting in devastating casualties. Lorien concludes his grim tale, admitting he never learned the identity of the mysterious creature. As Noah drinks, a system notification confirms his lifeblood ability has instantly purged the alcohol's effects. He slams his mug down in frustration, but Lorien correctly guesses he has a high constitution. The innkeeper suggests deactivating the skill, and a system prompt immediately gives Noah the option. A quick notification confirms his lifeblood ability has been successfully turned off. Finally able to enjoy his drink, Noah enthusiastically calls for another round to celebrate. Lorien points out the perk of his new ability, and Noah gleefully realizes he has an instant cure for hangovers. After a few more drinks, a system notification confirms he is now officially intoxicated. He flinches as his lifeblood ability automatically kicks in, instantly purging the alcohol from his system. Now sober, Noah asks Lorien to elaborate on the missing villagers he mentioned earlier. The innkeeper's expression turns grim as he confirms people have been vanishing in the nearby woods. He recounts how it all began 6 months ago, when 2 villagers entered the forest and never came back. Even a party of adventurers couldn't find any clues, forcing the fearful villagers to abandon the forest entirely. Tragedy struck again when the local mines collapsed, and a search for survivors tragically came up empty. With the mines sealed off, Noah learns that 2 more adventurers were hired just a couple of days ago to investigate. Lorien explains the village is now divided, with some wanting to seal the mines for good, while others protest, fearing they won't survive the winter without the income. Lorien adds that eerie howling and crying have been heard coming from the sealed-off mines. The villagers are now terrified of an undead infestation, prompting Noah to slide a mana crystal across the table. The innkeeper gravely explains that if the Adventurers Guild confirms their fears, the entire village will be forced to evacuate, a fate no one wants. Stepping outside, Noah takes in the village atmosphere, his conversation with Lorien now over. He stops as he notices a commotion, with villagers murmuring anxiously down the street. Overhearing a frantic conversation, he learns the mayor intends to permanently seal the mines. The villagers panic, realizing that without the mines, their community faces certain collapse. The angry men rush off to confront the mayor, determined to protect their way of life. Noah watches as a crowd of desperate citizens gathers, their futures hanging in the balance. Noah peeks from a doorway, drawn in by the growing unrest of the villagers. His system identifies the two central figures, the village mayor and a stern-looking stone-carved miner. The miner angrily confronts the mayor, refusing to let the village starve, while the mayor worries about more casualties. The mayor pleads with the crowd, insisting his difficult decision is for the good of everyone's survival. He's startled when Arendear appears beside him, and she questions what he's doing there. She explains her plan to privately question the mayor, but Noah wryly observes the current situation is anything but. He casually recounts his brief chat with the innkeeper, which led him straight to the town's drama. He asks if they should intervene, but she explains that getting the mayor's help is her only way to secure transport. Deciding she's not being assertive enough, Noah confidently steps forward to handle the situation himself. He smoothly interjects, telling the arguing men that he shares their desire for the village to prosper, leaving them baffled. He puts his arms around the two leaders, suggesting they find a solution together instead of arguing. Noah offers a charming smile, radiating an almost unnerving level of confidence. Watching from the crowd, Arendear grows concerned as the villagers begin to murmur amongst themselves. He introduces himself to the skeptical men as Noah Brown, a newly awakened adventurer. With a dramatic bow, he boldly proclaims that he is the answer to all their troubles. He breaks down their dilemma, stating that someone needs to investigate the dangerous mines. Snapping his fingers, he points out they need someone capable of surviving the perilous mission. The stone-carved miner scoffs at the idea, refusing to send a novice to a certain doom. Noah then reveals his trump card, declaring that the formidable Arendear will be joining him. Arendear seethes with silent rage, furious at being roped into his reckless plan without her consent. Arendear steps forward, explaining her own quest might be connected to the village's troubles. The mayor recalls she arrived with a team, and she confirms she's searching for them. Noah adds with a confident smirk that their help will come at a price. When asked to name their price, Noah boldly requests an ability tome from the village. The mayor explains their tomes are limited and suggests they visit Windrest City for better options. He clarifies that Windrest is the nearest city with a guild hall and a steady supply of gear. Arendear cuts in, setting a more practical price of a D-grade mana stone and 2 horses. The stone-carved miner volunteers to guide them, citing his 40 years of experience in the mines. With the terms agreed upon, Noah enthusiastically shakes the mayor's hand to seal the deal. A system notification immediately confirms he's obtained a new quest, Trouble in the Mines. Arendear taps Noah's shoulder, confidently telling him it's her turn to take over the negotiations. She begins to speak with the miner, taking charge of the situation while Noah watches with a smirk. The stone-carved miner questions Noah's origins, noting he seems unusually old for a newly awakened. Noah explains he's from a distant land without magic, which is why his awakening was delayed. The miner asks if he's from a dead zone, a term Noah doesn't understand until Arendear explains it's a place without mana. She describes these desolate areas as barren wastelands that drain the life from anything within them. Noah clarifies that while his home was a concrete jungle, it wasn't a life-draining dead zone. The miner accepts his explanation, stating that if they succeed, they will have done the village a great service. With a confident smile, Noah extends his hand, ready to finalize their agreement. The miner firmly shakes his hand, agreeing to meet them the next morning to venture into the mines. As Noah waves goodbye, Arendear reveals her team is in Windrest City, where he can also register with the Adventurers Guild. He readily agrees to the plan, eager to move on to the next city and get their current mission over with. He pauses, remembering his quest to return the child's protective charm before they can leave. Arendear decides to accompany him, and the two walk together to complete the somber task. They soon arrive at a small, quiet house, presumably the home of the charm's owner. Taking a breath, Noah raises his hand and knocks firmly on the wooden door. A woman flings the door open, her expression shifting to shock as she mistakes Noah for someone named Pierce. The woman looks on in confusion as Arendear steps forward to present the familiar-looking charm. Her eyes widen as she recognizes the golden charm, confirming it belongs to her lost companion. Tearing up, she clutches the charm to her chest, her hopeful expression pleading for news of its owner. Arendear solemnly shakes her head, confirming the woman's worst fears without a word. The woman breaks down, clutching the charm as she finally accepts the grim reality of her loss. A younger woman appears in the doorway, asking them to help her distraught mother inside. Inside, the daughter comforts her mother, explaining they had braced themselves for this news. She thanks them for bringing the necklace, saying that it provides a painful but necessary closure. The daughter explains they can't pay, but Noah assures her their true reward lies in solving the mystery of the mines. Aurelia apologizes, her voice heavy with regret for not being able to save her companion. Noah offers a comforting pat on her shoulder, a silent gesture of support in the somber room. The grieving mother, having composed herself, politely asks to be excused. Just as they turn to leave, the daughter calls out, stopping them in their tracks. The grieving mother pleads with them, desperate for any information about her lost companion. Wiping away her tears, the daughter asks for the details of her brother's final moments. Aurelia solemnly reveals a grim truth. Her companion and many other villagers were taken by sinister abyssal cultists. She recounts their capture, explaining the cultists performed dark rituals and that she and her companion barely escaped with their lives. Giving Noah a grateful look, she credits him with her survival before admitting their search for other survivors was fruitless. A flashback to the grim prison reveals the only thing they recovered was the protective charm. The mother's expression hardens as she asks the crucial question, whether they brought justice to those responsible. With cold fury in his eyes, Noah confirms he eliminated every last one of the cultists. A single tear of closure rolls down the mother's cheek as she absorbs the heavy news. She recalls her son, Pierce, a reckless boy who often ventured into the woods and mines against her wishes. The mother reveals she had prepared for this day, as her husband was also an adventurer. She explains that even after leaving the adventuring life, her husband's restless spirit never truly faded. She recounts losing her husband to that same life, and admits she tried to stop her son from following in his footsteps. The daughter comforts her as the mother resigns herself to the fact that forcing him to stay would have crushed his spirit. She then asks Noah and Aurelia if they share that same insatiable desire for adventure. Noah pauses, admitting that he honestly doesn't have an answer to her profound question. He reflects that while his journey has been a desperate fight for survival, the life of an adventurer now appeals to him. He confesses that the addictive allure of his new powers drives his desire to explore this strange new world. His choice of words confuses the daughter, who questions his odd phrasing. Aurelia gives him a sharp nudge, prompting him to quickly cover his mistake by claiming he's simply a traveler from a distant land. The daughter steps forward, making one final request of the two adventurers. She offers them her brother's charm, asking them to carry it on their journeys in his memory. Noah accepts the golden necklace, solemnly promising to treasure the memento. With a look of gratitude, the daughter thanks them for bringing her family a measure of peace. A system notification confirms his quest is complete as he waves goodbye to the grieving family. As the twin suns dip below the horizon, Aurelia suggests they get some rest before tackling the mines. Noah clutches his rumbling stomach, remarking that he's looking forward to a meal before their next fight. Aurelia chuckles, noting that he seems to have a natural knack for the adventuring life. They walk through the bustling village street, the setting suns casting a warm golden light over the town. The next morning, they arrive at a rocky cliffside, the collapsed entrance to the mines looming below. The miner explains the area was once a young dungeon, but its core was destroyed, leaving it an empty husk. Noah is shocked to learn dungeons can die, a concept the miner dismisses as a foolish endeavor. The miner elaborates that tamed dungeons are invaluable resources, even serving as the foundation for entire kingdoms. Aurelia speculates it might have been an undead dungeon, which she identifies as a nation-level threat. Her theory is quickly shut down as the miner clarifies it was just a standard Earth-type dungeon. Arriving at the collapsed entrance, Noah considers using his own power to blast a way through the rubble. Before he can act, the miner and Aurelia begin expertly clearing the rocks with their pickaxes. The miner's powerful swing shatters the rock, forcing Noah to step back from the flying debris. As the path clears, the miner credits his impressive feat to a decade of experience combined with an ability. Inside, the miner points out regenerating mana stones, a sign the mine is recovering from a lack of activity. Aurelia warns Noah to stay alert, reminding him that monsters could still be lurking in the abandoned dungeon. Noah grips his dagger, his eyes fixed on his system interface as he prepares for any potential threats. Their guide notes the eerie silence, explaining that the usual cave critters vanished when the strange noises began. The trio arrives at a massive sealed stone door, the entrance to the mine's deeper sections. With a heavy push, the miner opens the gate, announcing they've reached the main section of the mines. Stepping inside, they are immediately met with the grim sight of bloodstains covering the cavern floor. The group is horrified to discover the cavern is littered with the bodies of the missing miners and adventurers. Overcome by the foul stench of the massacre, Noah recoils in disgust, clutching his weapon. A horrifying scream suddenly echoes through the cavern, causing all three of them to flinch in shock. As Noah and the miner rush toward the sound, Aurelia desperately tries to stop them from charging into a potential trap. Ignoring Aurelia's warning, Noah uses his blink skill to teleport ahead toward the source of the scream. He arrives to find one of the missing adventurers, grievously injured on the cavern floor. Rushing to her side, he kneels down to offer aid, asking what attacked her. Her eyes glow with a sinister purple light as she struggles to warn him to run before it's too late. Noah's face fills with horror as he realizes the woman is undergoing a monstrous transformation. Dark tendrils erupt from the woman, ensnaring him as his system identifies her as a void-grafted human. Arendear arrives just in time to see him captured, screaming for him to get away. A system notification suddenly confirms the Trouble in the Mines quest is complete, rewarding him with experience. A new, harder quest appears, tasking him with destroying the Victral possessive legacy as the corrupted woman is lifted into the air. The woman's transformation completes, her body twisting into a monstrous form as she lets out a terrifying, silent roar. Noah struggles against the tightening tendrils, his daggers ready to slice through the dark appendages. Aurelia's fists ignite as she warns the miner to stand back, preparing to unleash a powerful blast. The miner nervously agrees, recognizing the immense power she's about to unleash. The corrupted adventurer fully transforms into a grotesque creature, a silent scream contorting its new form. It lashes out with its tendrils, forcing Noah to desperately dodge the chaotic whipping attacks. The creature vanishes in a flash of dark energy, using a teleportation skill just like his own. He's stunned to realize the monster can teleport, making this a fight between two evenly matched Blink users. Suddenly, a massive wave of fire erupts from Arendear, engulfing the cavern in a blistering inferno. She stands poised for another attack, her fiery power illuminating the cavern as they search for their foe. After the fiery blast subsides, Noah scans the empty cavern, wondering where the creature has escaped to. A single drop of dark liquid falls past his eye as he locks onto his unseen foe. He spots the grotesque creature clinging to the cavern ceiling, readying his daggers. The monster dives down with a furious roar, its tendrils lashing out to attack. In a brilliant flash of blue light, Noah activates his blink skill to evade the assault. He reappears a safe distance away, now armed with 2 daggers and poised to strike. He teleports rapidly, his blades clashing against the monster's relentless tendril attacks. Seeing him overwhelmed, Arendear unleashes a powerful stream of fire directly at the creature. The monster recoils from the fiery blast, its mouth agape in a silent, pained roar. Changing tactics, Arendear hurls another massive fireball toward the cavern's exit. Her attack strikes the ceiling, causing the rock to crack and seal the passage shut. With a furious roar, Arendear channels her fire magic, preparing to hurl the massive boulder. She unleashes a devastating wave of fire, incinerating everything in its path. Noah leaps through the inferno, his daggers poised to strike the dazed creature. The monster is engulfed in the fiery explosion, caught completely off guard by their coordinated assault. With grim determination, Noah prepares to press the attack while the creature is stunned. He dashes past the creature's flailing tendrils, closing the distance for a decisive blow. Leaping into the air, he brings both daggers down in a powerful overhead strike. His blades sink deep, and a system window confirms he's draining the monster's life force. The creature lets out a silent, agonized shriek as his ability takes effect. In a desperate counter, the monster's tendrils lash out, violently throwing him backward. A tendril slashes his chest, and a system notification confirms he's been inflicted with a necrosis poison. After landing its venomous strike, the creature teleports away in a brilliant flash of light. The monster reappears behind the defenseless miner, but Noah blinks away, leaving a pool of blood. He clutches his chest as his health plummets to a critical 7%, realizing he's running out of time. He chugs a potion, and a system notification immediately confirms he's gained a new poison resistance. The creature unleashes a chaotic storm of tendrils, forcing all 3 heroes to dodge the relentless assault. With a look of fierce determination, Arendear ignites her fist for a powerful counterattack. She unleashes a concentrated beam of fire, blasting it directly toward the creature. The fire engulfs the writhing mass of tendrils, but they quickly realize the attack isn't having the desired effect. The system reveals the creature is mutating again, and they must destroy it before it completes its terrifying transformation. Ignoring Aurelia's warnings, Noah decides to end the fight before the creature's transformation is complete. He channels a burst of raw power, his daggers glowing with a sinister red energy. With a determined look, he dashes forward, ready to unleash a devastating attack. He leaps into the air, positioning himself directly above the vulnerable, mutating monster. Arendear screams for him to retreat, horrified by his reckless, all-or-nothing charge. He lands in a whirlwind of slashes, his glowing eyes fixed on his target as he carves through the writhing tendrils. A stray tendril whips around and brutally smacks him across the chest, drawing blood. The creature's eye glows with a malevolent purple light as it prepares a final, desperate counter. It unleashes a massive explosion of dark energy, engulfing the entire area in a chaotic blast. A critical hit notification appears, confirming he's lost a limb and is bleeding out, but his lifeblood ability activates, drastically increasing his regeneration. He slams into the ground, his severed arm lying nearby as the monster watches from a distance. He trembles as he realizes the poison is spreading, since his lifeblood ability can't heal a detached limb. Grabbing his severed arm, he grimly wonders about the extent of his other injuries. He desperately shoves the limb back into place, hoping to reattach it as his poison resistance levels up. Seeing his desperate state, Arendear prepares to unleash another massive fireball to create an opening. She launches a towering pillar of flame, completely engulfing the cavern in a fiery inferno. The creature instantly teleports, narrowly dodging her devastating attack. Fueled by a dark power, Noah charges forward with glowing purple eyes, closing the distance in a flash. He slams his head into the monster, delivering a surprisingly powerful and vicious blow. A system notification confirms he's activated a new skill, Obliterate, as he tears through the creature's form. In a feral move, Noah sinks his teeth into one of the creature's dark tendrils. He tears the appendage apart, as a system notification confirms his poison resistance has reached level 3. Another prompt announces his lifeblood ability has leveled up amidst the chaotic battle of fire and shadow. Arendear, wreathed in flames, tells Noah to stand back so she can unleash her full power. He complies as she engulfs the monster in a massive inferno, seemingly incinerating it. Noah squints, scanning the cavern for any sign of their elusive teleporting enemy. The spot where the creature stood is now empty, leaving only dissipating particles and flickering flames. Leaping to safety, Noah shouts a new plan, realizing the creature can only teleport through shadows. Taking his cue, Arendear kneels and gathers a swirling vortex of fire between her hands. She then unleashes a massive, blazing sphere, intending to flood the entire cavern with light. The cavern trembles as she unleashes the massive sphere of fire, bathing everything in blinding light. With nowhere to hide, the creature attempts to flee, but Arendear is determined to end it. Noah grimly forces his severed arm back onto the stump, attempting to reattach the limb. The monster vanishes in another flash of dark energy, using its blink skill to escape the light. It reappears behind the miner, ensnaring him with its tendrils and lifting him helplessly into the air. Noah shouts a warning to Arendear, telling her he has a different plan to handle the situation. A system window suddenly appears before him, asking if he recognizes a specific item. The system displays the letter of the Void God as Noah presents the mysterious artifact. The creature reacts, its tendrils tightening around the miner as it senses the letter's power. It communicates that it is intrinsically linked to the powerful artifact Noah now holds. A new system perk, Voidborn, appears as Noah, glowing with dark energy, commands the creature to release the miner. The monster recoils, seemingly compelled by his authoritative command. It obeys, carelessly tossing the helpless miner to the ground. Freed from its hostage, the creature lunges at Noah with renewed fury. Noah calmly draws his dagger, his once severed arm now miraculously healed and ready for battle. He unleashes a furious whirlwind of slashes, his blade glowing with a brilliant blue light. He lands a devastating blow, driving his dagger deep into the monster's chest. Before it can retaliate, he vanishes in a flash, using his blink skill to escape. He reappears a safe distance away as Arendear announces it's her turn to attack. She leaps into action, launching herself toward the creature for a powerful follow-up strike. With a furious roar, Arendear unleashes a swirling vortex of fire, pulling the creature into its blazing core. The cavern erupts in a massive explosion, the force of her attack incinerating everything at the point of impact. After the blast, the cavern walls crack and crumble, showing the immense power of her assault. Noah calmly walks through the lingering flames toward the defeated creature lying on the ground. He continues his solemn approach, his expression grim as he prepares to end its suffering. The monstrous being, now partially reverted to its human form, weakly pleads for a final release. With a cold, resolute look, Noah raises his dagger, ready to grant its last request. He delivers a merciful end, and a system notification confirms his blood drain ability has purged the poison from his system. The creature's eyes clear, shedding a single tear of gratitude as it finally finds peace. A cascade of system notifications confirms his victory, rewarding him with massive level-ups and a significant boost in power. A system window confirms the quest is complete, rewarding him with an epic-level Tome of Abyssal Summon. Noah is horrified to realize the miner was conscious inside the monster, a prisoner in his own body. The system then presents him with an unsettling choice, to consume the remains of the defeated creature. Without hesitation, he accepts the offer, choosing to absorb the fallen foe's essence. A brilliant golden aura surrounds him as the absorption process begins. A notification confirms the absorption is complete, revealing he's also gained the creature's memories. He collapses in agony as the victim's memories flood his mind, much to Aurelia's concern. He's forced to experience the victim's final moments, witnessing the horrific experiments conducted by the cult. The memories confirm the abyssal cult is responsible, and a look of cold fury fills Noah's eyes. Fueled by righteous fury, he silently vows to hunt down and eradicate every last member of the cult. A system notification confirms his new, impossible quest, to hunt down and destroy the entire abyssal cult. Aurelia, concerned for his well-being, insists they leave the cavern immediately to find him a healer. She supports his exhausted body as they slowly make their way out of the dark, blood-soaked mine. His eyes snap open, finding himself suddenly awake on a couch in a completely unfamiliar place. Sitting up, he rubs his sore neck and notices his left arm is now glowing with a strange, ethereal light. A man with glasses, lounging casually with a bowl of food, offers him a less than welcoming greeting. Noah stands, demanding to know where he is, but the man smugly implies he already has the answer. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as he frowns, trying to piece together how he got here. Memories of the brutal fight and Aurelia's help flash through his mind, ending with the image of his glowing hand. The man, identified as Dylan, casually munches on a chip, remarking on how fascinating Noah's world is. Dylan observes an image from Noah's world, musing that despite its lack of magic, it's just as violent. Noah demands to know how he accessed his memories, but the man simply gestures to a remote control. Dylan explains the system is linked to Noah's soul, allowing it to extract information from his past. He admits he's been studying Noah's world, not anticipating he would survive his ordeal for this long. With a smug grin, Dylan confesses he didn't expect Noah to live, congratulating him for exceeding expectations. He then offers a slow, patronizing clap, clearly mocking Noah's survival and irritating him further. Noah's irritation turns to suspicion as he glares at the smug man on the couch. Fed up, Noah suddenly snatches the remote control from the table, catching Dylan off guard. He immediately turns off the screen, ending Dylan's voyeuristic viewing session. Pointing an accusatory glowing finger, Noah furiously accuses Dylan of actively trying to sabotage him. Dylan casually admits that while a pact prevents him from directly interfering, he's more than happy to wish for Noah's failure. He smugly confesses that he finds it entertaining to place bets on the spectacular ways Noah might mess up. Noah glares down at him, but Dylan changes the subject, admitting he's surprised by this turn of events and insists they need to talk. Getting to his feet, Dylan reveals the topic of discussion is the impossible quest Noah just accepted. Dylan warns him against pursuing the abyssal cult, but Noah sarcastically suggests Dylan must have faith in his abilities. With a cold expression, Dylan clarifies he has zero faith in Noah, but admits his opinion is irrelevant to the situation. Noah counters that the system giving him the quest proves it's within the rules, so he intends to see it through. Dylan tries to negotiate, asking Noah's price to abandon the quest and arguing the cult serves a purpose. Unmoved, Noah gestures with his glowing hand, callously stating that the cult's usefulness is Dylan's problem, not his. Reaching for the remote, Dylan confidently declares that everyone, including Noah, can be bought for the right price. Dylan explains that everyone has a price, using the screen to illustrate his cynical worldview. He tries to reason with Noah, claiming that suffering is inevitable and he should just let it go. Dylan questions Noah's ability to make a difference, reminding him he's only one person against the world. He insists that Noah is powerless to change the fundamental nature of how things work. Noah counters, asking why Dylan seems so afraid of him trying if his efforts are truly futile. He angrily points out Dylan's hypocrisy, questioning why this specific cult matters so much to him. Dylan coldly replies that their blind ambition is precisely what makes them human. Noah glares back, defiantly stating that not everyone is driven by such selfish desires. Dylan dismisses him with a sharp gesture, calling him a fool who is the exception, not the rule. Turning the argument around, Noah asks what it would take for Dylan to realize that he's more important than the cult. Noah grabs Dylan's tie, demanding to know why he's so invested in protecting the abyssal cult. With a reluctant sigh, Dylan agrees to explain his complicated position. He transports them to a vast, empty space, revealing it as the Void, the source of all abyssal mana. Dylan gestures to a swirling purple vortex, identifying it as the Abyss, the cult's wellspring of power. He explains that as the Abyss spreads, it allows monstrous creatures to cross over from the astral plane. Terrifying shadowy beasts manifest, illustrating the horrors unleashed by the Abyss's expansion. Dylan holds two glowing figures, revealing that he and his kind grant power to the cultists. In exchange, he explains, the cultists work to expand the Abyss's influence in the physical world. Noah angrily accuses him of empowering chaos, but Dylan coldly dismisses mortal affairs as irrelevant. Furious, Noah points out the hypocrisy, demanding to know why Dylan cares about the Abyss's expansion at all. Dylan calmly adjusts his tie, explaining the Void's nature is to consume, a force beyond good or evil. Rejecting this cold logic, Noah furiously smashes the remote against the screen, shattering it. He grabs Dylan by the shoulder, his fist clenched in frustration at the man's indifference. Noah furiously demands to know what becomes of the suffering he witnessed and the innocents caught in the cult's grasp. Dylan coldly dismisses his outrage, arguing that Noah has already had his revenge and has no personal stake in the matter. Unfazed, Dylan picks up the broken remote, once again asking Noah to name his price to abandon the quest. Dark energy emanates from the screen as Noah declares with finality that he will destroy the cult, no matter what. He turns toward the exit, stating that he doesn't care about the time it takes or even the outcome of his mission. With his glowing hand and a look of grim resolve, he vows to force the cultists to abandon their path for the sake of the innocent. Walking away, Noah lays out his brilliant deduction. Since the cult is bound to the void and the void is bound to him, he now has authority over them. He reaches for the door, confident that his new void-born pact grants him authority over the cultists. He plans to use this power to convert them, offering a new oath to those who wish to be saved. The system immediately grants him a new, extremely difficult quest to forge this new path for the Abyss's victims. Dylan concedes defeat, sarcastically remarking that it's been terrible seeing Noah again. Noah returns the sentiment before Dylan issues a final, ominous warning about the dangerous ground he now treads. With a flash, he's back in his bed, Dylan's warning about the wrath of the gods echoing in his mind. He sits up, noticing his left arm is heavily bandaged from the brutal fight in the mines. Looking around the unfamiliar room, he grows frustrated with how often he's been losing consciousness. Just then, Aurelia enters the room with a cheerful smile, relieved to see he's finally awake. She reveals he's been unconscious for 2 days, recovering much faster than the healer had predicted. Aurelia flexes, explaining that while regrowing an arm is possible with a costly healer, it's not as dire as he thinks. She speculates that his blood-based path might even allow him to regenerate the limb upon ranking up. As Noah reaches for a glass, he considers magical prosthetics, but feels there must be other, more favorable options. Taking a sip, he casually asks if there's a library in town, already forming a plan. Aurelia confirms there is, and Noah resolves to visit, confident he can find a way to manipulate a solution for his arm. She warns him against using any dark powers, but he wryly admits most of his abilities already look evil. Her demeanor shifts as she crosses her arms, deciding it's time to get some real answers about his abilities. She admits she's been hesitant to pry, grateful for his help but aware that Outworlders have strange powers. Now, however, she insists she can no longer hold back, and Noah listens with a serious expression. She reveals she's always known he has 3 different power paths, as his lack of control makes his distinct auras easy to see. She notes his 3 paths feel far more powerful than they should for a newcomer. Aurelia adds that he fights with the instincts of a veteran, not someone who has never battled before. His sudden appearance among void-wielding cultists only deepened her suspicion and concern. Yet she recalls how he stood by her side and fought, even when he could have fled. Noah explains his combat skills come from years of dabbling in various martial arts back home. He admits he kept his power secret out of self-preservation, unsure who to trust in this dangerous new world. Aurelia nods, acknowledging that his caution was justified under the circumstances. To prove her own trustworthiness, she offers to show him something deeply personal. A fiery aura erupts around her as she warns that her trust comes with a severe price for betrayal. With glowing eyes, she reveals this was a test to see if he was worthy of being her travel companion. Aurelia reveals a glowing ring, explaining it was the source of her test and inviting him to inspect it. His first attempt to inspect the ring fails, but she confidently tells him to try once more. On his second try, the system reveals the item's true nature, a legendary ring of second chance, a one-use lifesaver. She explains the ring was her hidden ace, giving her the confidence to put herself in danger. However, she still has questions, pointing out his strange command over the void creature and the powerful letter he possesses. She questions if he was hiding his true nature from the start, but he insists he's been completely honest with her. He playfully suggests she use her supposed lie detection skills, only for her to admit with a smirk that she was bluffing. Changing tactics, Noah offers a different method to prove his sincerity, taking her hand. He places a glowing crystal in her palm, instructing her to channel her mana into it while holding it to her heart. With a look of intense focus, she prepares to follow his instructions, ready to finally get some answers about him. Noah confesses that his memory is fragmented, and he can't even recall the moment of his own death. He reveals his connection to the void stems from waking up there, which granted him his unique path and the mysterious letter. Raising his bandaged arm, he insists he's not a villain, but simply a lost man trying to survive in an unfamiliar world. Instead of following his instructions, Aurelia clutches the crystal to her chest, preparing to make her own declaration. With a determined look, she turns the tables and swears an oath on her own soul, attesting to her honesty. Noah is stunned into silence by her unexpected move, realizing she just bound herself to an oath of truth. A system notification immediately confirms that an unbreakable oath of honesty has been sworn. He looks down at the glowing crystal, completely baffled by the turn of events he just witnessed. Aurelia smiles, explaining that since the stone didn't crack, his story must be true, and she now owes him her trust. She reveals the stone detects the wavering aura of a liar, a subtle shift only a master of aura can conceal. She reveals the stone remains intact because his aura showed no signs of deception. With their trust established, Noah unwraps the bandages from his arm, a thoughtful look on his face. Feeling restless, he pats the bed and decides it's time to get moving and find some answers. He heads outside with Aurelia, ready to begin his research at the local library. He approaches the town library, determined to find solutions for his arm and learn more about this world. Surrounded by books, his first priority is researching prosthetic arms and his new reality. He's immediately captivated by a book detailing advanced, magically infused prosthetic limbs. His research leads him to a page detailing the components of a dark summon, including a familiar-looking parasitic worm. He discovers the horrifying truth about the parasites. They take over their hosts' minds, transforming them into monsters while also modifying their bodies. The text reveals a shocking possibility. In rare cases, the fusion results in a symbiotic relationship, making the host immensely powerful. He snaps the book shut, a dangerous idea forming about using the parasites to control his dying limb. Determined, he delves deeper into the lore, needing to understand these creatures completely. A confident smirk appears as he realizes his own abundant life force can sustain a void summon without issue. His research reveals that a life command can bind these creatures, a loophole the cults bypass with sacrifices. With all the necessary components in place, he decides summoning a void parasite is his only viable path forward. Resolved, he leaves the library ready to begin the risky ritual to restore his arm. Finding a secluded alley, he and Aurelia prepare as he pulls up the system interface for the skill book. Without hesitation, he accepts the prompt to consume the rare book and learn its forbidden knowledge. Dark energy envelops him as he absorbs the information, instantly gaining the Abyssal Call skill. A second notification reveals his proficiency is so high the skill starts at level 25 as he clutches a glowing purple crystal. He kneels down, using the crystal to meticulously draw a complex summoning circle on the stone floor. Moments later, he stands proudly over his completed work as the purple circle pulses with arcane energy. Noah gives Aurelia a confident nod, silently assuring her that he knows exactly what he's doing. The Tome of Abyssal Summon floats before him, its pages flipping wildly as it unleashes its power. Standing in the center of the swirling vortex, he activates the skill through his system interface. The book's pages swirl around him as the forbidden knowledge floods into his mind. A system notification confirms the tome is consumed, and the summoning ritual has officially begun. The scene flashes back to moments earlier, deep within the chaotic and endless void. Vicious parasitic worms swim through the astral plane, their sharp teeth glinting in the darkness. A larger, more dominant parasite asserts its power over the others, letting out a ferocious roar. He begins the incantation, calling out to the endless dark and hunger of the abyssal void. Noah offers his own life force, beckoning a creature to bind with his astral soul. The dominant parasite's eyes glow as it accepts the pact, its hunger now linked to Noah's blood. Answering the summons, the chosen parasite surges through the void at incredible speed. It arrives at the portal only to find other, more powerful void beasts have also answered the call. As it's pulled through the portal, the parasite feels an exhilarating rush from the powerful presences nearby. The competition is fierce, as every creature is driven by a primal need to be the one chosen. The small parasite expertly dodges a larger beast's attack, thriving in the chaotic struggle for dominance. It retaliates with surprising force, smashing its hardened body into its much larger rival. Victorious, the parasite watches its foe dissolve before being pulled irresistibly toward Noah's summoning circle. The system issues a series of commands to the summoned creature, establishing Noah as its absolute master. A shadowy parasite erupts from the summoning circle, letting out a ferocious, silent roar. The creature's thoughts are filled with a single, overwhelming directive: move toward its new master. It emerges completely, a multi-eyed horror hovering over the arcane circle as Noah reaches out. The parasite understands its choice is simple: obey the summons or be cast back into the endless dark. It latches onto his hand, and Noah mentally encourages the creature he's just named Tony. He collapses to his knees, gritting his teeth in agony as the parasite begins to fuse with his arm. A system notification confirms he's been inflicted with the abyssal parasite, gaining a fever in the process. Alarmed, Aurelia ignites her fist, demanding he desummon the creature before it's too late. Noah pants through the pain, his eyes filled with grim determination as he insists he can handle it. Noah cries out as the parasite's tendrils painfully burrow into his flesh. He collapses, telling a concerned Aurelia that his entire body is on fire. A system window pops up, confirming he's just unlocked a new pain tolerance skill. He rips at his shirt, the intense heat from the fusion becoming almost unbearable. His arm twists into a monstrous claw as his fever status intensifies to level 2. Aurelia confirms he's burning up, and he explains the parasite is using his life force to heal the limb. Wreathed in dark energy, he desperately calls for health potions to survive the ordeal. He focuses his mind, remembering that pain is just a feeling he can overcome. Panting and sweating, he pushes through the agony, determined to see the process through. His endurance pays off as a notification confirms his pain tolerance has already leveled up. System notifications confirm his meditation and pain tolerance skills are rapidly leveling up from the ordeal. He focuses his mind, controlling his breathing to manage the intense fusion process. Entering a deep meditative state, he channels the swirling energy, embracing the transformation. His mental fortitude pays off as his meditation and pain tolerance skills skyrocket to new levels. The process completes and he stares in disbelief at his newly formed monstrous arm. He realizes the intense pain has been replaced by a strange, unsettling numbness in the limb. A system window confirms the life-threatening fever has finally subsided. Aurelia offers him a much-needed recovery potion, which he gratefully accepts. He quickly drinks the potion as his concerned companion watches over him. Lowering the bottle, he confirms the pain is gone, looking surprised by the sudden relief. He realizes the parasite isn't finished, deciding to hold his twitching, monstrous arm still. The parasite fully integrates with his arm, dark energy sealing the bond between flesh and creature. Noah grins, admiring his newly enhanced arm, as Aurelia stares in disbelief at the powerful transformation. System notifications confirm his parasite has evolved into a symbiote, and he's now a human symbiont with increased attributes. He gives his new arm a test swing, a satisfied smirk on his face as he feels its power. A system window details his new symbiotic relationship with Tony, which will feed on his life force in exchange for power. Aurelia admits with a stunned expression that she never expected his reckless plan to actually succeed. He reveals he wasn't certain either, having researched a backup plan to remove the parasite if needed. Clenching his new fist, he feels a surge of power, ready to test out his dangerous new limb. He flexes his sharp, newly formed claws, a perfect fusion of human and void creature. With a menacing grin, Noah admires his new monstrous limb, declaring the agonizing transformation was absolutely worth it. Aurelia advises him to keep the arm hidden, warning that such a unique feature will draw unwanted attention. She notes that while monster limbs aren't unheard of, his is far more extreme, but he's just thrilled by how cool it looks. Unimpressed, she finds the arm's semi-human appearance disturbing and clarifies she meant sick in a bad way. After he explains the slang, she facepalms, baffled by the strangeness of his world. His new claws extend sharply, and he realizes he'll need to master control over his new appendage. Her curiosity overcoming her disgust, Aurelia asks if she can touch the strange new arm, and he happily agrees. She cautiously pokes at the dark, armored flesh with her bandaged fingers. The claws suddenly extend in response to her touch, startling them both. She concedes that having a built-in weapon is a huge advantage, especially since finding suitable gear is a constant struggle for powerful adventurers. Aurelia explains that because the arm is now part of his soul, it will grow in power along with him. Eager to test his new weapon, Noah agrees with Aurelia's suggestion to find a more suitable training ground. They leave the town behind, heading for a secluded area where he can unleash his new power without restraint. Their search for the perfect spot takes them deeper into a quiet, sun-dappled forest. He selects a thick, sturdy tree, deeming it a worthy opponent for his first test. With a confident smirk, he channels dark energy into his symbiotic limb, preparing to strike. He lunges forward, unleashing a powerful punch that blurs with speed and crackling purple energy. His claws extend as he pivots, carving through the air with a vicious slash of dark power. A wild grin spreads across his face as he infuses his attack with his blink skill, turning the slash a brilliant blue. The attack connects, tearing deep gouges into the thick tree trunk with devastating force. He decides to up the ante, infusing his next attack with a swirling stream of poison. Corrosive purple energy splatters across the tree, leaving it blackened and decaying under the venomous assault. A wild, almost feral grin spreads across his face, thrilled by the devastating results. He gestures proudly toward the ruined tree, while Aurelia looks on with a mix of awe and concern. Aurelia brings him back to reality, warning that he's still clumsy with his left arm and needs to adapt his fighting style. He pats the arm, confident that his new symbiote, Tony, will help him overcome the initial awkwardness. Unable to contain his glee, he clicks his new claws together, completely enamored with his monstrous limb. Aurelia sighs in exasperation, admitting she can't understand his excitement over having a monster's hand. He counters enthusiastically, insisting people from his world would pay a fortune for an arm this amazing. She's completely baffled by his slang, forcing him to awkwardly explain the meaning of cool. He offers a completely fabricated explanation for his slang, leaving Aurelia utterly confused. She calls his world weird, but he retorts that a world with dragons is far stranger. He playfully argues that a giant fire-breathing lizard is the very definition of weird. Aurelia confidently states that even a dragon would be less strange than him back in his own world. With their debate settled, he dashes forward, eager to continue testing his new limb's power. He unleashes a powerful glowing blue slash, aiming to cleave a massive boulder in two. The attack leaves a deep fissure in the rock, demonstrating the sheer force of his strike. He clutches his arm as it throbs with pain, realizing the symbiote is still layered over his original bone structure. As his obliterate skill window appears, he feels a powerful thumping as dark energy gathers in his hand. He grits his teeth, realizing the void energy reacts intensely with his new arm, forcing him to be cautious. He examines his new limb, feeling the dark energy crackling through the monstrous appendage. With a fierce look, he unleashes a powerful slash, channeling raw energy through his symbiotic arm. The massive boulder splits in two, unable to withstand the sheer force of his attack. He celebrates like a child, absolutely thrilled with the devastating power of his new limb. Arendear cuts his celebration short, telling him it's time to leave the forest. As they walk back, he follows her with a sly, unsettling grin, making her visibly uncomfortable. Sensing his strange mood, she turns and asks what he finds so amusing. He smugly explains that his new arm has given him a brilliant, if slightly corny, idea. He bursts into laughter over his own terrible pun, while Arendear can only facepalm at his antics. To cap off his display, he unleashes a massive blast of fire, showing he's more than just a one-trick pony. He effortlessly dodges a retaliatory fireball from Arendear, using his blink skill to teleport out of harm's way. He gleefully runs through the forest as an enraged Arendear gives chase, their training session turning into a playful squabble. Sometime later, a voice from off-screen asks Noah how he's adjusting to his new limb. Now in a tavern, Noah tells the bartender his arm feels better than ever, letting the man assume it's a magical prosthetic. Taking a sip of his drink, he casually asks about the local gossip, aware that his sudden recovery has caused a stir. He smirks, admitting he finds the rumors delightful and that they led to an amusing encounter earlier that day. In a flashback, he recalls two children whispering that he gained his arm by consuming the monster from the mines. A mother then uses him as a cautionary tale, warning her kids he'll eat them if they misbehave. Seeing an opportunity for some fun, a wicked grin spreads across his face as he activates his blink skill. He lunges forward with a monstrous roar, playfully terrorizing the family and sending them fleeing in panic. He and the bartender share a hearty laugh over the story of his recent prank. The bartender asks about his plans, and Noah reveals he and Arendear will leave in 2 days. He takes a drink, realizing his new symbiote prevents him from deactivating his lifeblood skill. Noah agrees with the bartender that having a solid plan is better than wandering aimlessly to their doom. Leaning in, he smoothly asks the bartender for a small favor. He hands over a list of strange items, causing the bartender to panic and accuse him of demon summoning. The bartender reluctantly agrees to help, but warns that a rush order will come at a premium. In response, Noah places a large, sparkling purple crystal on the counter as payment. The bartender shakes his head in disbelief, muttering about the strange requests of adventurers. As the bartender agrees to the deal, Noah uses his monstrous arm to pull the payment back into his inventory. Having secured his deal, Noah confidently leaves the tavern to prepare for his next move. Moments later, a delivery boy arrives with a cart full of the strange items he requested. The boy hands him a list of what he could find, and Noah accepts the partial order with a simple thanks. He carries his new supplies down to a secluded storeroom where Arendear is waiting patiently. She playfully ignores his struggle, declaring it's what he deserves for his terrible pun, which he still finds hilarious. Arendear eyes the bizarre collection of items, including a live rabbit, and asks what he intends to do. With a sly grin, Noah reiterates his plan to test his abilities, piquing her curiosity. He pulls up a system window, confirming the area is secure before telling her to simply watch his experiment unfold. A menacing shadow with a wicked grin looms over the terrified rabbit as Noah prepares for his first test. He casually pours a jar of strange black pellets onto a plate, while the poor rabbit appears to have fainted from sheer terror. He begins his experiment, tossing a small black pellet into the air to test his blink skill. In a flash of blue light, he successfully teleports the terrified rabbit into a cage across the room. With a smug grin, he confirms to a startled Arendear that he can indeed teleport objects. His mind races as he immediately begins to wonder about the full extent of this new application. Moving on to his next test, he grabs a handful of small dark stones from a bucket. He explains to a curious Arendear that he's trying to determine exactly what he can bring with him when he teleports. With a confident look, he prepares to activate his blink skill while holding the handful of stones. He strains with effort, channeling a massive amount of energy as he attempts to teleport with multiple objects. He reappears across the room, but the stones slip from his grasp, revealing a flaw in his attempt. A new system window appears, revealing a dedicated inventory grid for his blink skill. He tests the new inventory, realizing that carrying too much weight makes the ability harder to use. With a look of intense focus, he activates his blink skill again, this time with the pebbles stored in the dedicated inventory. He lands perfectly, confirming that items placed in the special inventory don't affect the teleportation at all. With a sly grin, he grabs a long metal pole ready to test the inventory's size limits. A brilliant flash of blue light erupts as he attempts to teleport with the much larger object. The pole clatters to the ground as he reappears without it, discovering the inventory has a size restriction. A close-up shows his feet teleporting away, leaving the oversized pole behind on the floor. Unfazed, Aurelia glances up from her book as the discarded poles wiggle on the ground nearby. Undeterred, Noah sits with a pole across his lap, a mischievous grin suggesting he has another idea. He concentrates his energy, determined to find a way to make teleporting with the larger object work. A sudden jolt of inspiration strikes him as he realizes a crucial detail about his blink skill. He deduces that the ability only teleports objects he is actively holding, not just touching. To test his new theory, he tosses several small bags and boxes into the air. He successfully catches one of the boxes, preparing for his next teleportation attempt. A close-up shows his gloved hand securing the box of small stones. With the box in hand, he activates his blink skill, his body once again glowing with blue energy. He explains his discovery to a baffled Aurelia, clarifying the skill's specific requirements. Gesturing to the wall, he illustrates that he can't just touch something large and take it with him. He examines his gloved hand with a thoughtful expression, pondering the ability's limitations. Aurelia thoughtfully concludes that he must be channeling his mana into an object to pull it through the teleport. Aurelia theorizes this is a built-in restriction within the skill's astral scripts. She speculates more powerful abilities might lack such limits, as Noah eyes the flinching rabbit. With a wicked grin, he decides it's time to test his theory on a living creature. He snatches the rabbit from its cage, offering a quick, unconvincing apology to his test subject. Holding the creature tight, he activates his blink skill, both of them engulfed in blue light. He reappears across the room, confirming to an unimpressed Aurelia that he can indeed teleport living things. Thrilled by his success, he eagerly moves on to his next experiment, a jar of glowing green worms. He grits his teeth, feeling a strange resistance as he tries to teleport with the writhing creatures. Pushing through the strain, he unleashes another brilliant flash of teleportation energy. He reappears on the floor, panting and exhausted, with the glowing worms scattered around him. After meditating to restore his energy, Noah announces he's ready for the final test. He approaches Aurelia, proposing his most ambitious experiment yet, teleporting with another person. His first attempt fails, as he realizes simply touching her isn't enough for the skill to register. He grabs her hand, and a massive vortex of blue teleportation energy engulfs them both. The violent lurch through the astral plane causes Aurelia to cry out in shock and disorientation. The massive teleport drains his mana but rewards him with a level up for his blink skill. They reappear across the room with Aurelia looking dazed and Noah completely drained from the effort. He staggers to his feet, confirming the teleport was a success, but the cost was immense. Aurelia reels from the disorienting trip, questioning if the escape method is worth the agonizing side effects. The intense strain of the teleport proves too much for Noah, who suddenly feels the unpleasant after effects. As the nausea subsides, Noah recovers while Aurelia casually walks past, completely unfazed by the ordeal. He mentally summarizes his findings. Small living things are easy to teleport, but powerful individuals are a massive strain. Undeterred, he moves on to his next experiment, trying to force an entire jar of pebbles into his inventory. The attempt fails, but he notices he can now interact directly with his inventory's system window. He curiously touches an empty slot on the glowing grid, causing it to ripple with energy. A series of notifications confirms he can now pick up items just by touching them to the grid. Deciding to test the limits, he grabs a massive handful of pebbles to see if he can deposit them all at once. He pushes the entire handful against the glowing blue interface, attempting a bulk deposit. To his surprise, the inventory grid rapidly absorbs the entire handful of stones in a single swift motion. He discovers this new method drains his mana, an unexpected but potentially useful feature of his inventory system. A system notification confirms he's successfully deposited 48 pebbles into his inventory. After running a few more tests, he moves on to his most daring experiment yet. He apologizes to the rabbit, explaining its sacrifice is necessary for the sake of science. With a flash of light, he deposits the living creature directly into his blink inventory. He decides to let some time pass, curious to see what effect the storage has on his test subject. As the minutes tick by, they both wait to see the results of his bizarre experiment. He pulls the rabbit out, shocked to find it completely unharmed, as if frozen in time. With a wicked grin, he turns to Aurelia and offers her a chance to test his inventory firsthand.